Thursday, December 28th, 2023. Welcome to All Horse Racing All the Time. I'm your host, Al, bringing you the morning show. This is the second day I've done in this brand new series. On this show, I discuss a horse racing topic, also have open chat during the shows for those of you who want to get your horse racing fix early in the morning and you don't want to have to wait until after the race is started, 12 noon Eastern time, because I'll be discussing the events of the day, be talking about the different cards that I'll be covering. So you'll get an early insight into what I see coming up in the races ahead. And yesterday on the first edition of the morning show, I talked about playing multiple race cards at the same time. And this is part 2 of that. Choosing your cards. How do you pick these cards? What are you going to do with these cards? Yesterday, I did a show covering 3 tracks. I covered Parks, Tampa Bay Downs, and Mahoning Valley. And 3 tracks is a challenge. So how do you do? Well, a lot of players play multiple tracks at the same time, and they take them race by race. And my first recommendation would be, don't go beyond 3 cards is really pushing it. I'm an experienced player. I know what I'm doing. I'm a winning player since 2011. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge for me covering 3 cards. Okay. So if you're looking at doing 4 or 5 cards, or if they're running, especially when it comes to the weekend when a lot of tracks are running at the same time, it can be a daunting task sometimes, and sometimes people get into the trap of playing multiple cards. They're shooting around from track to track. And if you have bad racing habits and go with that route, and you're going to get into trouble because the races are so tightly staggered between each other. Sometimes in some tracks, you only have a minute, right? So what are you going to do between getting in the gate and looking at the boards and seeing the prices? You just don't have time if you're going to try and take on, say, 5 tracks, maybe more at once. And here's what happens to some of those players that do that. Sometimes they're chasing money. They lost a race and they're stung and they want their money back quick, and they see another track. Who's running next? Oh, this track's going off in 1 minute. And they'll play the board in a perverted manner, not the usual playing the board, looking at the possible payouts, maybe, in pick 3s, or looking what the double is going to pay, or looking at what the exact is going to play. They'll play the board in a different way. It doesn't really even qualify as playing the board. They'll just look at the board and they'll look at the odds of the horses on the board without even looking at any PPs or anything. And they'll say, oh, what combination might work? And they'll look for a few long ones and a favorite, and they'll box them up. And then maybe they lose that race real quick because they haven't really looked over the race at all, or maybe looked it over for a couple of seconds. And then they go into what's called the racing death spiral. And they lose that race after trying to chase their money, playing all these cards, right? So that's like a plane that gets in the death spiral. The pilot loses their bearings. They think they're going up and they're actually going down, almost doing a nosedive into the ocean. I mean, that's what happened to JFK Jr. He was flying at night. Somehow, I guess this word is that he got into some sort of turbulence or something, and he was trying to steer the plane, and they're speculating that they thought he thought he was going up and he was going down. And that happens in racing. Only your money is at stake, and your peace of mind, and maybe even your sanity, maybe even your house. Depends on how you play. Money management goes out the window. You're shooting all over the place. Oh, there's no thoroughbred race for another 5 minutes. I want to get it back now. Who's running at the harness track? And they see they're running at one of these tracks, and they throw in a harness bet. They know nothing about harness racing, and they lose that. Now, what if I tried to play, say, 5 tracks at one time? a skilled player, and I'm good with the, scanning the cards quickly and picking up the data and picking up patterns. And what if I tried to take into 5 cards at the same time? I'd be in a lot of trouble. I'd be in a lot of trouble. And I gather most players, even the best in the world, would be in a lot of trouble unless they want to handicap these cards thoroughly, these 5 cards in advance, and they go out there and look it over, look for key factors of these cards and make notes, do your, key factors in advance. You're talking about spending, if you're going to do this the right way, you're talking about spending hours before the races even go off, taking notes, putting things in play. And now you're doing this before there are even scratches, right? Do you want to put that type of time investment into handicapping races? That much? 5 cards? I certainly don't. But what I will do is I will at least make notes, look at the pace scenarios for the cards I play. If I played 2 or 3, say 3 cards, yesterday I did 3 cards, and I'll take some notes on those tracks, especially pace notes, and give it a once over, pace notes, what the pace scenario is. And I'll also look for speed figures, who the speed figure which ones are. So I go in there somewhat armed. And then when the races that 3 tracks I'm covering are 5 to 9, 10 minutes apart, then I have time to go over there, and already I have some of my notes, so I know the tracks where some of the races that look better. And then I can go, and then I could look at the board, I could look at the odds, and I could look at my notes again and see if maybe a double is there, and look at the race ahead. And I have something to work with. And also I could see if the race is a pass, because I looked it over a little bit. How about picking those cards? How do you pick these race cards? You go out there and you look, say you're looking at a Saturday card. Today for me, I'm going to be doing a show today covering 3 tracks again like yesterday. I really enjoyed that format. And what I'm going to be doing is, today was very easy to pick my 3 tracks. There were 3 tracks that were running really during the day that were worthwhile. And they were Aqueduct Racetrack, Gulfstream Park, and Mahoning Valley. Those are the tracks I'm going to be covering today. I'll be going live a little bit before noon, and we'll do the 3-card format again today. And tonight it's going to be Turfway Park. So at that for the night venue, I'm just going to be covering 1 track, and I'll put them all on the same link so it's easy. You'll see that. I'll schedule that later. So you'll see live horse racing picks, and you'll see the 4 tracks listed below that I'm going to be covering. This way you don't have to look for a different link. And I'll take my break for dinner, and but I'll keep the show going live. And the beauty of this is you got the chat open, so you could still talk amongst each other, discuss the horses, make your picks, even when I step away for a few minutes. But today was easy. Picking the 3 cards was very easy. What about on a Saturday when you have a bunch of tracks running? Like Fairgrounds comes into play. I think Oaklawn's going to be joining in there. And then you still have the other tracks like Gulfstream, the Gulfstream Championship meet, where you have all the top trainers and jockeys gathering over there. Then you have tracks like Santa Anita. What are you going to do in a case like that when you pick your cards? Well, what I would do is look for the best cards, tracks that have the biggest handle, biggest purses, where you got your talent, and it's easier you have more concrete information to work with. You have horses that have run multiple times before and a body of work, and they more consistent than, say, a tiny track where you have a lot of cheap races, a lot of uninteresting races, low purses, where you have horses who are bouncing up and down all over the place, 7.5K claimers. You want to stay away from those tracks, especially when you have more interesting tracks running that have big stakes races. Gulfstream, for example, tomorrow has 4 stakes races. Aqueduct has a couple stakes races. There are other tracks that have a couple. There are 13 stakes races, I think, tomorrow in all, if I'm not mistaken. But so what you do is look for the better tracks, and out of those better tracks, you look at the post times for the different races when they go off. And you could want to pick a few tracks that gives you at least, some minutes to work with between the three races. You don't want tracks that have both two races going off at the same exact time, for example. Or you want to have some space between the tracks. And my suggestion would be to leave it to three, unless you're really going to put in the work to, gather all this information beforehand. Otherwise, there's just not enough time to be juggling 100, 5, 6 balls in the air. And you'll do better that way because you have a chance to look the data over. So I looked at that, and I see some of you are here today. So I want to wish everybody a happy Thursday. The weekend is almost upon us. And I did play the three race, 3-track yesterday deal. And I took it light. I tread water out of there were 27 races at the 3 tracks. They were Parks, Tampa Bay Downs, and Mahoning. So out of those 27 races, I ended up playing 16 of them, passed on 11, and out of the 16 of them, treading light, I finished the day at those 3 tracks up $6.05. So, and there were a couple of them that I wanted to get in, and I saw, oh God, the race is going off in a minute, and I had my notes, and I knew the horse I wanted, and I rushed to try and get the pick in. It was 2 horse in one race to win, and boom, I hit the enter button, and it was like, boom, not available. And then I see on the screen that the horses had just started running, and this horse wires the field at 4-1. And I had another race like that as well. So there are a couple. I did give out the winners on the show. I give out the picks, whether I pass on the race or not, and I let you know if I'm passing. But there was a couple times yesterday where I would have had winners, and I just did not have the time to get it in, and I missed by seconds. So that's an example of how challenging it can be. So I finished the morning session up 6:05. Did a show last night for Turfway Park, and for that card I finished up $4.52. So I finished up ahead, and so that's up $10.57 for yesterday. And I'm battling not a little irritated because I've been having these days lately since I started doing the show regularly again after some of the holiday break a little bit during the Thanksgiving period, and I started going more. Since that time, I'm having days like this where I'm practically breaking even. And I'm like, where is the big hit? When is it going to come? And I don't want to force it. My friend John DeSilva, who's been in the business as a writer for the New York Post for 19 years. Now he's a track official at Parks. With friends, we talk on the phone at length about horse racing and different strategies to use. And he says the last thing you want to do is to force it. He's a track official at Parks now. He was the morning line maker there. And he says, Alan, don't force it. You can't force it. You got to let the horses come to you. So that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping that in mind when I go forward. And on the flip side, I think back to the great Andy Beyer when he wrote his book in the 70s, My $50,000 Year at the Races. He went up to Saratoga one summer, and he wound up writing this book based off that particular meet. And he went up there, rented a place for the summer, and he's going to be covering Saratoga, the meet, right? And he was down thousands and thousands of dollars after 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the meet was over. And he's like, holy crap, what's going on? And then he wound up all of a sudden crushing it for the last third of the meet, something like that, and made a ton and over 50 grand, and made his money back and over 50 grand. And he wound up writing a book about it. So I think back to that. When I'm treading water like this, winning $10 for the day or $20 or losing 30 or $50 for a day, it's like, hey, it can happen it can happen real quick in horse racing. That's the beauty of horse racing. It's not like betting sports where you're almost like betting, to get back your money and then some change. They have these lines, -120 or plus 150. And at horse racing, you can get it back multiple times, all at once. All as it takes at once is once. And Andy Byer, he just stuck to his game. And all of a sudden, he really crushed it and came out way ahead. I mean, to an extreme example, what about somebody that all of a sudden hits a pick 5? Boom, they wipe out their losses for the month, and then suddenly they're ahead. Horse racing is that type of game. So you got to have that type of temperament. I can't let this irk me a little bit, this breaking even, winning $5 for the card. It certainly beats losing 100 or 200. I got to keep that in mind. And the other thing I got to keep in mind is you can't force it. You can't push it. Even, the breaking even, hey, fine. And there's always another race, and there's always another day. So that's what I think about picking these cards. So I guess I should actually consider myself fortunate that at least I'm on the ball and at least I'm not getting crushed. And even if I was getting crushed, it would probably take me a lot of work, because I've never went through an extended period like Andy did where he was losing thousands a week. Keep that in mind, just in case I do have a couple of bad days here and there. So with that, I see some of you are here. I want to wish everyone a good morning. The weekend is on the horizon. And let's see who we got here. Benjochia, the third, Gators. Hey, good morning, Benjochia. Good luck today. Welcome aboard, Seal. As for myself, I try to stick to one track. Well, yeah, sure. And I understand that, and that's definitely a good strategy. You get to know the track well. I know a very successful player who only played Mountaineer, and he played his main bread and butter play was the 50 cent Superfectas, and I played the track, played with him a few nights online, and I was winning my, $30 here, $50 there, I was ahead. And this guy was hitting races for over $1,000, multiple ones in one night. Not every night was like that, but all of a sudden I felt like I was losing money. I was like, holy crap. I'm happy hitting like a $30 exacta. And this guy just made $700. And he had a strategy for playing it, but he stuck to one track and he got to know it. He got to know the trends. And he got to know the jockeys and trainers really strong, what to look for. He had different ways of setting up the ticket where he, would spread it a little wider in one spot. And the guy at the time was in his mid-70s, and he'd been playing for years. And this is a guy, and you talk about temperament with horse racing. One time, he's already hit pick 6 players, and God rest his soul, he passed away a couple of years ago. By then, he was in his 80s. Big hits on. He's a good multi-race player, right? He was playing one pick 6 at Suffolk Downs, and he relayed this story. And there were others that documented it as well. So he was in line to be the lone winner of the pick 6 in the in line, the payouts. He had the horse, and he saw the potential payouts, right? So his horse comes in. There was celebrations, and then he sees the inquiry or objection or something, and lo and behold, they took his horse down. So I said, how do you handle that? He was in line to win over $100,000. And he said, now this goes to the mindset, ice water in the veins. He said, hey, that happens sometimes. I got, 5 out of 6. He got a payout. It was a few $1,000, whatever it was. He was still happy, but and I saw playing the races with him. That's the way he was when I played the races online with him. He had the temperament, the ice water in the veins, and he didn't let it throw him off. But imagine that, hitting a pick 6 and then have your horse taken down when you were in line to be the lone winner. Tuner, good morning. His name is Vernon. Good morning, Tuner. Good morning, Tuner. How's it going today? Optimism is the winning order. Yes. Daniel Haskell. Hey, one track, one circuit. Become an expert at your home track. That definitely good advice there, Daniel. Good luck today. Thanks for joining us. Stephen Grutner. Good morning, Al. Appreciate that you give your rationale for your selections other than just some who just throw out random numbers. That's what makes your show special. I'm glad you enjoy the show, Stephen. I try and give out as much information as I can. I just, 5-2-1, I don't do that. And even when I type out my plays and put them up here for the races, I don't just give out, four numbers and leave it at that. And you don't even know how I'm using them. You wouldn't even know how I'm using the selections. I mean, we have some players like that on the show. Sometimes they just throw out random numbers. And when something comes in, you don't know if they're playing an exacta, a win bet, or a trifecta, nothing. They just say, boom, they hit the race. And no, I try and give my rationale. And when I put out my plays, I tell you specifically how I'm using the horses. I don't want to leave people in the dark. And, Danny. Hey, Danny. Hey, how's it going? Good morning, Danny Schott. Good morning. What track are we starting with? Well, today I'm going to be covering 3 tracks on the show later. This is the morning show. For those of you joining us, it's the second time. This is the second in an edition of a brand new show that I'm going to be putting out there sometimes. On the morning show, I'll discuss a topic, talk a little bit about a topic. Today's topic is part 2 of choosing multiple tracks. And this time I'm talking about, I just talked about here how to choose your tracks. And today it was very easy. Today's tracks I'm going to be covering Aqueduct, Gulfstream Park, in Mahoning Valley. And they were really the only ones that were out there that made sense. I think they were really the only early ones running here in the United States from what I could see. And it's going to be a little more difficult choosing multiple cards for, say, tomorrow or Saturday when it spreads out and a lot of the different tracks jump into the fray. So those are the tracks I'm going to be talking about today. And actually, I am going to start breaking them down and looking at some of the figures here, so the pace scenarios and somewhat about the numbers, and take some notes about these tracks. I haven't started that yet, so I'm actually going to be doing that during the course of this show. And I'll lead off with Aqueduct, move to Gulfstream, and then go to Mahoning, and take a brief look at the pace scenarios and the horses that I like and what appears to be standout races. So I have some notes to go by when I go into these tracks. So good luck today, Danny. Glad you could join us. Daniel, free PPs today. Aqueduct race 7 looks like plenty of speed signed up. Take a shot with a improving 5-year-old. 4.25 to win and 5 exact is 2-3 over 4. Good luck today. Thanks, Daniel. And what I will do, just since you mentioned this and it's early yet, I'm going to take a brief look at that 7th race at Aqueduct, and I'm going to look at it again, but I'm just going to look at it briefly. What I see there in race 7. As far as the pace scenario goes, and I'll tell you what, track's going to be wet over there at Aqueduct, and that's sick. And that one horse has a lot of early speed on a wet track, running fractions, say, in a stakes race 2 back. Granted, it was only 6.5 furlongs. Just over 22, and including the run-up time, 22.13 open speed. I mean, the one should get a big jump on these, and the other one with some speed, I'd say Bustin Bay. That one has run. It's a mile on dirt. It's a stakes race, and that one has run sub 23 second opening quarter 2 back at Aqueduct on a sloppy track. It still runs pretty quick. I mean, 1 and 5 look like the standout. The other one with some speed, Standout Mystery, showed speed last time. The track's going to be wet. We got rain overnight, and 1, 5, and 7 look like the speed, but 1 might be the controlling speed. The problem with the 1 is, well, I don't say it's a problem, but it's not that, when it ran on a dry track, it ran like a 23-3 opening quarter, but it looks like it runs real quick early on a wet track. As far as 2 is going to be real tough. Ran real well in the mud at Saratoga. Fingal's Cave has won 3 out of 4 and only a second place finish, and it's one that it didn't win. in a G2 company. Now, this is a 100K stakes race for fillies and mares, but I mean, 2 may not be the pace. And the other one that ran real big race is number 6, Know It All Aubrey. It's last time out in the mud in a 250K stakes race at Aqueduct at 1.125 miles. Maybe this one likes it a little longer, but you know it can handle the mud. It's won in the mud last time, and the previous time before that, it ran in the mud at Parks on April 30th. It won in the mud before that at Aqueduct again at a mile on January 19th. Very, very consistent. The 6 looks very consistent. And the Rice Horse has one race that was really quick. It was on a dry track on October 27th, where it won by 2.5 at the distance at Aqueduct. So the one that stands out to me here, 2 definitely. I can't see this one finishing worse than second. Consistent as can be, 4 wins, including a finishing second in a G2 at Keeneland. 4 and 5, 4 and 6. Let's look at the odds on the 4 and 6 in this race. Let's see, Aqueduct, race 7. You bring it up and try and be Johnny on the spot here with this. Fingal's Cave 2-1. That's the number 2. I see the 3 is the second choice at 5-2. I can't back it. I can't back the 3. The 2 I mentioned previously are definitely faster. The 6, who opens at 4-1, and the 5 and the 2. How would I use this race? What I'd likely do, either key number 2 up and down over a couple others, if you're going to play exotics within the race. Definitely make it the key, and we'll use 4 and 5 in multi-race plays. I mean, the 5 is proven. It wins all the time when it's on a wet track. And one last note before I continue. Yeah. I mean, Know It All Aubrey has maybe the only one I see with a realistic shot to top the 2 number, Know It All Aubrey. I'd box, if you're getting odds, if you're getting your 4-1, maybe you do something with that. Dylan Davis riding. That's the 6, Know It All Aubrey. Fingal's Cave, that's the one to beat. Or if you're going to play an exacta, put more on Fingal's Cave on top of Know It All Aubrey, and a smaller exacta with Know It All Aubrey over Fingal's Cave. Otherwise, just use 2 and 6 in your multi-race plays. Let's look at them as far as the pace goes, how that sets up. Yes, you bring something up, and I can't always go into depth like this, but I just want to see one thing. I want to see the pace scenario for that race. I want to see how 2 and 6 stack up with the pace. Yeah, 2 is going to have to come off the pace. And that's what it usually does, or it's close. It's tracking in like a second. We've seen it at Belmont run 22 and 3 opening quarter on say June, and so it's run some quick quarter. It ran in the mud at Saratoga. In the mud at Saratoga at 1.125 miles. Ran like a 23 and 8 opening quarter. And it'll probably run a quicker one going only a mile today. And as far as the 6 goes, 6 likes to track the pace. It used to go to the front early, but that's one that's going to have to come off the pace too, but has success in the mud, very fast numbers. So that's how I see that race. Thanks for sharing those selections there. Where are we? Those, Daniel. Good stuff, Al. Hey, buy stocks. Good morning today. Good luck today if you're playing. James H., I really enjoy all your insights. James H., thanks for joining us today. I'm glad you enjoy the show. And thank you. All right, now I got to make some columns on the page. I'm going to make one column. We'll work it this way on the notes. I'm starting my notes from scratch here. And one column for Mahoning, Aqueduct, one column for Gulf, and you'll see me putting this Mahoning. And I'll split these columns. One represents speed figures, others represent the pace. All right. Speed figures will be on the left, pace will be on the right. It's nothing fancy. And we're going to work down in order for these races. And this way I have some notes to look at between the races and etc. So see, this is what I got here. It's like a scratch sheet. I got them broken down, and I'll do that for each race. On the left, on the right box, the right row, not row, column, whatever. The right one will be for the horses with the superior speed. And then on the other, if there are standouts, early speed, and the others will be the first column. Where are we? This column will be, the ones with the standout speed figures. So when I'll have that, and I'll put, just take notes, and it'll be a bit of a process. I don't want to go in there cold, covering 3 tracks. And tonight I'm just going to be covering 1 track, and it'll be much. You'll have a lot more time between races to do things. For the 3 tracks, I want to get my notes up front, have an idea, because keep in mind, again, then I'm doing this, there might be some scratches. So let's take a look at what the hell is going on here at Aqueduct. We'll start at race 1. We've got a 9-horse field. It's on dirt. And good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the morning show. This is the second morning show that I'm doing. I started this yesterday, so on some days I'll do morning shows where I discuss a different topic to head off the show, and then go into talking racing and talking about the cards, what's going on at the races today, what looks good, prepping for the races. So if you're into the races and you want to get your horse racing fix early, or maybe you're handicapping the horses in the morning, and you want to touch base with either me or others that might be watching the show, you have a venue here on the morning show. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at the pace figures, look and see if any pace horses stand out by the pace charts. Now, this is a mile on dirt. For 2-year-old fillies. So right away, they give us a challenging race. We got some surface switchers in here. We got the 8 just music it has run on a wet track and finished second here. Ran a nice race, but you got this is dirt. We have Firster in here, number 9. 5 who's coming shipping in from Delaware. It's a maiden claim 50. This is a race that I'd probably be careful with. It's a mile. The 8 does have dirt experience and route experience. So right away, I think 8 looks like a just music. Trevor McCarthy up for Terra Nova. So 8 is the one that jumps out. 13 Flags, the first-time starter. You have a trainer here who really, he's 0 for 3 in first-time starters. He's a 6% trainer, 524 starts. So I really don't like the Firster. I'm not Maximus Mischief, first time out. His offspring not particularly fast. So I'm really not worried about that. Rick Dutro has the 1. He always has to be respected. Has a 3rd, and he's dropping in class today. He's coming from the maiden claim 75. 2 sprints. Did run on the mud once. Finished 3 back. So I figure the 1. 8 looks like the best one so far. The Delaware Shipper put up ran a nice race, maiden special weight and dropping. So the 5 interests me a bit. For Rudy Rodriguez, has Eric Cancel in the saddle. He's 16%, he's making his third start, finished third here, third at Delaware, first asking, and ran a concealed speed figure 4 wide um, that race. So my standout really here is the 8, Just Music, and the Dutro entry, number 1 By the Glass. So 8, 1 and 8, and 8 I'll put a dot next to. And as far as the first race goes, Just Music is going to have to close into it. The 1 more or less a stalking type, and the 4. The 5 is the speed. And it comes from Delaware, so it's a dubious speed. So I'll list 5 in this column, and I'll list 1 and 8, and also the 5 with a question mark. I'll keep an eye on the board here. I'll underline the 8 as the key player in here, and I'll put a 5 with a question mark, because we'll see what the board plays with that. So you got my notes here. You see what I took down here as my notes for this race. I don't think it's a particularly good race. And notice that I handicapped these races without looking at the odds. I made my judgment. You see here, I got the 1, 8 with a question mark. That's the one with experience at the route and in the mud. And I got the 5 as the main controlling speed. So I have an idea there looking at that race. So now let's look at the odds of these horses. How do they stack up? Okay, 8 opens at 5-2. That's the favorite. Trevor McCarthy, the one experienced at routes. And number 1, the Dutro entry opens at 5-1 By the Glass. And my 5, the one that has run a quick race, but at Delaware, Cha-Cha Chucka, opens 6-1. And now the 6th, Wake Up Lauren, is the third choice at 7-2. And notice I have a 1, 2 horses, 1 at 5-1, 1 at 6-1, that who I like is potential winners, and also their odds are significantly opening anyway, are significantly higher than Wake Up Lauren. So, and that is, Wake Up Lauren is another Dutro entry. So I'm going to take a quick look at that. Wake Up Lauren. Gomez is the jockey. I want to look at the 6. No, I can't go there. It does have route experience. It is dropping in class from the maiden special weight to the maiden claim 50. But by the speed figures at least, and by the pace figures, I don't like it. I don't like that the jockey Gomez is 9% out of 489 tries at Aqueduct. Gomez does good. He won the Apprentice Jockey of the Year last year. And I'm going into this one a little bit more detailed than I do when I go down and make these notes, just so you have an idea how I'm doing this. But I see 6 is a weak second choice. So now I move on to the second race. Let me see if anybody is here commenting. So you see my notes there. Tuner. When I hear some say that horse is taking money, what scenarios give positive and negative outcomes? Thanks. You got to do the legwork. At that point, when it's taking money, look for some positive on it. That horse is taking money. The public is wrong most of the time. So a lot of uninformed money in there. So I think the one, you look it up yourself, take a look at the PPs, see what gives. Has it done, look at the data, see if there's a valid reason for it taking money. Because sometimes somebody just throws a chunk on a horse and the odds change, and then when the public says, hey, that horse took money, and they put money on it, and then it's a pile on, and they're piling on to the wrong horse. And that happens sometimes when you see these long ones come in, and the one that took the money does nothing. But yeah, you got to look it up. What scenarios give a positive and negative? I had a horse one time. Investigate it. Like I saw a horse one time at Churchill Downs. This is going back like 8 years. There was a horse that opened at 20-1, And when the board opened, it was the favorite, and it was around 2-1 or somewhere in that neighborhood, and was there for a couple minutes. And I looked at the horse, and I looked at it, I looked at the data, and I was like, yeah, there was something about it that was good. I think it had some sort of a late kick or something, right? It was the number 1 horse at Churchill Downs. I could probably investigate it and find that race because it's easy enough. I know the year, I know the track, so I could actually find that PP. So I investigated the horse. I said, you know what? There was something I saw about it so long ago, I don't remember what. I said, that you had a couple of positive qualities that made it fit the race. And I saw the money, and it stayed like that for a little while. Then it started to drift up 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. Started to slowly go up as And I think by maybe the 15-minute mark, it was around 8-1. And then eventually, so I put money on it. I was drawn by the money, how low it was, and I was also drawn by my investigation into the horse. And by the time the race went off, it was like 27-1. So it went up to 20-1 and beyond that. But for a while, it was like under 10-1, but it was taking money, and especially money early. And I did hit an exacta with that. I don't remember exactly what the exacta was, but I know I played it for $1 and I got back about 200, maybe a little less, maybe 180. I don't know. And it came in with somebody else, and it made a late charge at the end and won easily, or it won handily. It was obvious the horse was going to win, and he did. So that was a case where playing the board, it was taking money. When I think about taking money, I think about take a look, if you can, if you have the time, who is anybody taking suspicious money early after the board opens. That is the most effective tool I found when taking money is concerned. And another way to look into taking money, if a horse is taking money, is around the 10-minute mark or somewhere around there. Look at your exacta payouts, maybe, and look for the pattern. Look at the grid, and usually numbers will jump out at you. You will see some numbers say a horse, a longer one, for example. If you look at his spot on the grid with other horses, wherever he's involved, the money is cheaper, right? And this is around, say again, maybe the 10-minute mark, give or take some minutes. See one who's taking money in those sort of plays, in the exacta combos, like 3-8. Okay, 3-8 is paying this. 8 is 8 is opening at 8-1, and but yet you see like 1-8 has like a weird low payout, or lower than you think it should be, and you look down the grid, because what happens then is as you get closer to post time, you spot those spots on the grid that jump out with a specific horse. As they come closer to post time, you'll notice that those spots on the grid now are significantly higher. So people are putting in early money in the exactas, and they're kind of hidden since it's an exacta play, and most people are not looking at that grid at all. So you get it in, you sneak the money in there that way. So that horse is taking money in the daily double, for example, or the exacta, and you look for those. So you use the board that way. So, but yeah, you definitely still want to check it out yourself and see if the money is warranted. Why is it taking money this way? Hope that helps. Al, look at the works on the 9 in race 1. All right, I'll take a quick look, and then I'm going to get at it, Steve, here. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. You've only been 6 months learning as I go. Great, Tuner. All right, get in the good habits early. You're going to come out on top. I will look at the works on 9. I don't have the race 9. Hang on a second. Let me see. There's only 8 races here today at Aqueduct, Steve. I'm on Aqueduct right now, but we will get to it. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, race 2 Aqueduct. Now remember, the morning show, I'm going to be going out there live a little before noon, so I'm getting my notes together. I got 3 tracks worth of notes to put together. There's going to be 8 races at Aqueduct today. and probably the same at Mahoning. So I want to blow through this. I did want to give you a gist of how I'm putting together my scratch pad and note sheet, and then I'll have more information as I go along. So I want to look at the pace scenario of race 2. Race 2 at Aqueduct, a 1 mile on dirt, optional claiming race. One is another one that it runs well on the. This is going to be a challenging race. But there's only 6 entries. I can't see anyone being a big long shot. Maybe the 5 would be a longer one. Brad Cox is the trainer of the 5, but I think he's up against it here. Brad Cox or not. This is going to go through the 1. John Kimmel's win it. Aqueduct Specialist has won his last 2 in the mud. He won by won on December 2nd. Other time in the mud, before that at Aqueduct, finished second by a neck at the distance. I just want to look at the pace scenario, but I think the 1 is easily the standout as far as the numbers go. Excuse me. In race 2, a bit of a stampede. The 1 runs very quick early on the mud. For example, he gets Kendrick Carmouche. Carmouche has ridden this one every time except twice. The last 2, Carmouche sent it. He won and was recording 22 and 1.15 fractions. So I think 1 might be the speed. 2 and 4. Film Star likes to go to the front and habitually goes to the front. So I see Film Star is probably going to press for the front. 1 doesn't feel the need. If he gets it, he gets it. So I think Film Star is probably going to be the pace in race 2. Fine, I'll put 2 as the second pace. But I see 1 is the main one to win the race. See, I'm just going through it lightly here. Film Star. Film Star has a lot of nice races fast enough to win it. Now, last race at Churchill Downs at Randy. The thing is with Film Star is from Linda Rice and Eric Cancel. The last race was a G2 race. So he's been running in G2 company and very consistent down the board. Seems to finish second a lot at 1 1/8. So maybe the turn back from 1 1/8 to a mile will more accentuate Film Star's early speed. So definitely 1 and 4 has to be considered. And another one that is circling towards a big one who ran a huge one at Aqueduct and is right there with Film Star, but actually October 26th. I'm just seeing if they face each other. 6, Unbridled Bomber. If this one brings its A game, a repeat of the April 16th race where it won by 9 at this level, optional claim 80, and the distance, Unbridled Power is the star, would be the star of this race. Now, he is carrying the high weight of 125, as is Film Star. Example, Win It, number 1, is carrying 123. Kinetic Sky is carrying 121. Rick Dutro entry. That's another one that's somewhat competitive. But I think we got 4 in here that are standouts, which makes it a challenging, interesting race. Unbridled Power has to be considered. And I'll put a question mark next to Dutro's number 2, Kinetic Sky, who has a big race at Belmont at this distance on June 15th. I'll put a question mark next to the 2, and this looks like a barn burner. Let's take a look at the odds of these horses. So again, I said I like 1 best. I like actually 6. I kind of have a question, 6 maybe. It's right there with the 1 as far as being in form and running the big race. So I got it underlined under the 6. Not that I like it the best. I know what this means. Okay. So I know what I mean. I remember why I put a mark or symbol there when I wrote it up. And let's look at these odds. Race 2. Okay. And we're right there. The number 1, 5-2. Okay, and the two that I just thought about, Kinetic Sky, the Dutro entry, I have that as my 4th choice with a question mark. So I think that 2 might be a vulnerable second choice or a second choice. And the favorite is number 4, Film Star. And the value in here, who I have underlined, the 6. The one that I said that if he runs his race that he ran back in April, he'll win this race. The value here is the 6, Unbridled Bomber, who opens at 5-1. Okay, now we're going to go on to race 3. Now you can see I'm looking at the pace scenario. I'm looking at the figures, and then I go to the opening odds. I make my choices before I look at the odds. I don't want to be swayed in any way. Thank you. Only been 6 months learning as I go. Okay, now we go to race number 3. How are we looking on time here? I can't believe it. Let's see. Race number 3. And I think Film Star is a vulnerable favorite at 2-1. I could see the 1 beating Film Star. See, Film Star last ran at Churchill Downs, very consistent. And again, I mentioned before, Film Star that's from Linda Rice. Linda Rice at Aqueduct is 21%. That's going winning percentage. And she won the Saratoga and Belmont trainer titles last year. I mean, she comes with her suspicions. She was up. She's like the Teflon Don, right? She has these offenses. She gets charged with these cheating charges, and somehow she slips through. Meanwhile, Rick Dutro gets 10 years. But she's like untouchable, and she wins. That you can't take that away from her. I think Film Star finishes second a lot. The last time it ran at a mile, last 2 times it ran at a mile. Let's see, it finished 4th, 1 3/4 back. It finished second by 1 1/4, and it finished second by 4. It's a second place machine. The last time Film Star won was at a 1 1/8 back in September here at Aqueduct, and it romped that day by 6 1/4. But at a mile, it seems to finish second. Now in the 3rd race, we have a 6.5 furlong, and remember, there's Quinello wagering in races 2 and 4 here. Number 1, right off the bat, looks too slow. Annihilate. Race number 3, 6.5 furlongs on dirt, claiming 35K. It's moving up in class. It already looks too slow. I don't see any numbers that really fit this race. Number 2 ran a really big race at Saratoga last time, an uncharacteristically fast race at 35K, claiming at this level, but that was 154 years ago. Now we got a trainer change going to Robert Falcone Jr., who is kind of a sneaky trainer. He picks his spots. He's 15% here, but it ran huge, and they claimed it, and they gave it 154 days off. Falcone, when he has away from the races for 90 days, he's 12%, 90 days or more, he's 12%, gets Manny Franco up, who has 23% winning percentage at Aqueduct. Vastly, vastly improved. And it's this time of year where Manny really pads his statistics when the Ortiz brothers go down to Florida and do their damage down there, along with Saez and Flavian Pratt. He's on the West Coast now, but Flavian Pratt, he'll be between West Coast and Florida. And the big guys, Johnny V, they're not all here. So now Manny Franco goes to work on the skeleton crew jockeys. Ran really big last time, so we don't know what to expect. If a repeat of that at 6 furlongs, I don't know. On the last time it ran in the mud at Gulfstream Park, it finished fifth, 7 back. And all its races were really pretty much slow. It was claimed from Jose Francisco D'Angelo. Was that an aberration? That race winning by 9 and change. Saratoga, the layoff. But who are the others in here? I mean, 3 looks very strong. Another Linda Rice entry, again with Carmucha, ran at 7 furlongs at Belmont in May, won by a length and a quarter in the mud. And it did run 11 days ago. Came back after 211 days off after that win there. Had won 3 out of 4 lifetime. Won there. And then he finished third. She finished third on the 17th. So after 211 days, the second off the layoff, Linda's 19%. And that's a sample size of over 500 races. So she knows how to bring them back. Runs good in the mud. Not even close to as fast as the 2 ran in its last race. But again, the 2, its running line was consistent, but considerably slower than all its other than that one race, last race, and then the 154 days. 4, can't really back it. It's okay. Finished second in the mud at Aqueduct. One thing I can say, it's been running consistent. It did improve. It had been running all turf races, and then it came in second at 6 furlongs on the 3rd after a whole string of turf races. So it took to the mud, and it's going to be a wet track today, no doubt about it. So maybe they get some improvement second time out. Not as fast as the 3, but ballpark. And it has run as fast in a route as a 3. So the 4 looks pretty good. And we'll go down the line. 9, one to consider. Very low percentage trainer. Ran good in the mud at Aqueduct on the 3rd. And I think it might be coming out of the same race. Yeah, it comes out of the same race as number 4. Now, I'm seeing these for the first time. Okay, so you're getting this like right out of the box. December 23rd, Aqueduct 4th. Yeah, they came out of the same race. In that race, the 2 finished first. No, where is it? They're not the same. Okay, the 4 and the 9 I'm talking about. Okay, the 4, they're coming out of the same race. December 3rd, Aqueduct's 4th race. Very similar races. Only the 4 got a better trip than the 9. The 9 was running 3 wide. The 9 finished 3rd, 6 and change back. The 4 finished 2nd, 4 and change back. So the 4 did beat the 9 in that race. So, and that was a jump forward. So they're similar, but I think I'd edge towards the 4 there as my choice over the 9. Because the 9 has a trainer who's only 4% trainer at Aqueduct. And a 4% trainer overall in over 250 races. And you have a jockey that's only 5%, Alicio Ruiz. So I'm looking at maybe 4, 9. And there's another one in here that ran some nice races. Another Linda Rice entry that is slowly moving forward and has one in the mud. It's number 6, Roman Goddess. And again, you get Jose Lescano, one of her other go-to guys. Tough race. I mean, 4, 6, 9. They're all around the same speed caliber. But you got the Linda Rice edge. And Horatio De Paz, he's 17% of Aqueduct at the 4. So I'm thinking 4 and 6 for sure. You got to consider. And what do you do with that 2 that ran that really, really, really big race last time out? I mean, won by open length, 6 furlongs at Saratoga, and won 10 and 6. Where did that come from? Never came close to that. The last time it ran at 6 furlongs before that, it came in 3rd, 5 back, and 111.87. So I'll go 4, 6, and I'll put 2 first with a question mark. I think 2, maybe even a throwout. So I'll put a line 4, 6, and 9 third, 2 with a question mark. As far as the pace goes in this race 3, I'm going to pick up the slack pace in a little bit. That 2, and that 2 did run. Tough call here. What I can say is this. 4 is going to have to come off the pace. 4 is a closer. Two and 6. I guess the pace here, 2 and 6 are the pace. I don't know what 2's going to do. Had that one big race. Now we'll go on to race 4. Race 4, 1 1/8 on dirt. The pace, from what I've seen, the brief, I looked at it, I think I really showed a good early speed last time with Jose Antonio Gomez. He was the Eclipse Apprentice jockey last year of the year. And he puts up big numbers, gaudy numbers at Parks. But on the Naira circuit, he hasn't gotten his sea legs yet. He's struggling here, but he did really show improvement with the speed at Aqueduct. So, I mean, 4 at 1 1/8, can he get the distance? I don't know, but he's the speed. 1 is another speed, Jose Lescano up, Amanda's Folly. And it has shown some speed. It likes to go to the front, whereas the 4 went to the front last race. So I think it's safe to say that 1 and 4 are the speed, but 4 has shown that speed at a mile. Is he going to show the same speed at 1 1/8? I don't know. That remains to be seen. So as far as the pace go, I like 1 and 4. As far as the numbers, there's only 6 entries here. Let me look at the odds of. I'll get this done, and then I'm going to look at the odds of these horses. I didn't even look at the odds of these in the 3rd race. See, I form my own opinion first. Okay, Linda Rice, trainer of the 1, comes off a victory at a mile, a 200K race in the mud. Rudy Rodriguez is a trainer of the 4. That's the one that showed the speed. My problem with this one is I think the main damage this one can do is show early speed at running at this level, 3-year-old and up fillies and mares. Hound the 1. That's what the 4 can do. I don't think he's fast enough. She's fast enough to win. I think what she might do is negate the 1 in this race. Of course, the last 2 races by the 1 at this distance, 1 1/8 mile, was they finished 5th, 15 back, and 2nd, 5.5 back. Not nearly as fast at the 1 1/8. Did have a decent race. Won a race at 1 1/8 at Saratoga on the 26th of July. And did win at the distance. So I'm thinking 1 might not even be a win candidate here. I think the 1 might be negated by the 4. As far as pure speed goes, I could see the 5 or 6 winning this race. 5, Jose Jimenez, the trainer. 0 for 19 at Aqueduct, but this going 2nd off the layoff. Finished 5th at a G3 here at 1 1/8 with a nice quick race, and won at 1 1/8 in Saratoga on September 4th, and has doubled up fast numbers. 2nd off the layoff, cancel up. Jimenez and Cancel never teamed up together. Out of Justify. Justify has been a tremendous, tremendous sire. Overall, his offspring wins 16% of the time and in the money 42%. One of the top sires, Triple Crown winner, you all know. 5 has to be considered, and 4 and 5 and 6 I see as a virtual coin flip. Yeah, they're the fastest ones. I think they're going to benefit from the speed duel. 6, distance challenged. I have to think 5 is the one to beat here. And maybe 1 and 6 question mark. 6, I don't know. The last time it ran at 1 mile and an eighth, it finished 7:30 lengths back in April. This one seems to be a strong one at 7 furlongs, a mile, kind of like Cody's Wish. That's why I think Cody's Wish really doesn't deserve Horse of the Year. I know it's the feel-good story of the horse racing year. Wins for the kid, also named Cody. Then Cody dies the day after it wins the Breeders' Cup mile. And not a dry eye in the house. But White Abario, I mean, over 2 turns, he was putting up speed figures that blows the doors off Cody's Wish, destroyed him back in the Whitney, I think it was. Or what was the race he beat? The Travers? One of those races at Saratoga, destroyed him, but put up speed figures that are just unbelievable. And 2-turn horse versus a horse that's running 7 furlongs and a mile. And so that's kind of the case with Into Happiness. Anyway, I see that this one excels more has won 3 of the last 5, 3 of the last 6, 2 at a mile, 1 at 7 furlongs, and has a second and a third, also at a mile and another at 7 furlongs. I think the mile and an eighth, judging by this race at a mile and an eighth last time, hustled to the front, whatever, and it faltered, it weakened. And so I think 5, and then I'll put a question mark next up. 5-1 maybe. And I'll leave it at that. I can't go 4. I'll put a question mark next to the 6, only because it has run a race it is moving forward. Maybe it can handle the mile today. I don't know. Let's see what kind of money it takes, but I don't like the 4. Okay, let's check the odds, and then I'm going to check chat. I didn't give my odds for the 3. Remember, I thought 4, 6, 9, and the 2 is the one that ran the really quick race. Well, the odds maker is going by that very quick race, even though it took place 154 days ago, even though all its other races were much, much, much slower. They make number 2 a 8-5 favorite. And now get this. Now, the 4 that I was talking about, one that does really well on the wet track, opens at 12-1. Did I pick the wrong horse? Let me just go back and look at number 3. How can that one be 12-1? No, 3. Okay, that makes sense. That's the Rice entry. I didn't list the 3 there. Okay, so there are 4 I like in this race. The 3, the Linda Rice, did win on the mud at Belmont, but it came back. It's coming back in 11 days for Rice. I almost like the 4 better than the 3. The 3 opens. This may be a box race and leave out the favorite. I like the 4 here. He's circling towards a big one for Horatio de Paz, 12-1. And the 9, the other one that also ran a good race in the slop that just got edged out by the 4. I know the trainer's weak. The numbers are there. The mud races are there. 20-1. But the 2, based on one good race, they're giving it an 8-5 favorite. And what about Rice's number 3? That one is 4-1. And Roman Goddess, the 6, 3-1, and the 9. Yeah, it's going to be a challenging race, 9-horse race. And as far as the 4 goes, I put the 5 first. Just Catherine is the 9-5 favorite. I put the 1 second. It's actually the second choice, 4-1. That's the one that's probably going to hook up in the speed duel with the 4, and it's a Rice. And Into Happiness, the one who I really think is distance challenged, number 6 is the second choice, 7-2. So we might have a weak second choice here. If I had to just how I'd use this race, the 3rd, 4th race, I'd probably use 1 and 5 in multi-race plays. Or consider even signaling the 5. AB, good morning, AB. Thank you so much for the super sticker, AB. Much appreciated. How's it going today? Good luck today. See, good morning all, AB. Good morning, AB. How's it going? Happy Thursday. The weekend's almost here. I'm going to tee it up today. I'm going to be doing 3 tracks again today. Aqueduct, Gulfstream, and Mahoning. I'm just getting started on this. And AB wishes everyone a good morning to all on this Thursday. You can see the horizon. The weekend is on the horizon. Okay, so we're through race 4. Now we move on to race 5. Before we move, let me get through race 5, and then I'm going to step away for a minute, and because we're already going an hour, and I want to get through these. I want these notes complete before I set up and schedule the show. I'll schedule it for sometime shortly before noon today, and get out there and go after 3 cards again. And tonight the game plan will be to go after just one track, Turfway Park. For the last 2 days, yesterday at playing the 3 tracks, I finished up at the same time. I wound up wagering on 16 of the 27 races, passing on 11. A couple of them I actually didn't pass on. I didn't have time to get in the winner. I tried to get it in last second, boom. Tells me no, it's too late. And then I see the race horses are running. My horse wired the field at 4-1. But I forget what the other one did that I missed. But there were 2 of them that I tried to get in and I just missed. But the one that stands out, of course, is the one that won easily. And I did give it out, though, on the show. I thought, I said I like the 2. And that was either at Mahoning or Tampa. Anyway, race 5, let's talk about it. Let's look at it. I'm making notes, all the tracks. I have it set up here. You can see how I'm working my way down the note sheet. Race 5. Okay. See how I'm working my way down the note sheet. I got the number on the right, like say in race 1, I just have the number 5. That stands for the ones with the best pace in the race. And on the left, the ones where I have multiple numbers, those are the ones I kind of have listed there, who I think have the best chance as far as the speed figures and that and the conditions. So like you see in race 4, I have 5 and 1 listed, and I have 6 third with a question mark. The 6 is the question mark means it's distance challenged. So at least when I go into these races and I'm shooting around between the tracks, I have some notes to work off of. So that's how that goes. So let's do 5 here, and then we'll take a quick break and be back here on the morning show. Day 2 of the morning show, folks. And then if you're just joining us, I did the first one yesterday, and I'll be doing these from time to time, covering a topic of the day, which is listed in the thumbnail, and talk about that to kick the show off, touch on that and discuss that a little bit. And then, go from there and talk about what's going on as far as the races, what cards I like. And you'll see me in action, breaking down the cards as we go along and setting it up, taking some notes and answering questions. And you could also ask, share information and talk with yourselves because I'll have chat open. All right, we have, now there's going to be a wet track today. It rained all night here. The track's not in the New York City area. We got 1 mile on dirt, cheap one, 16 claimer. I looked at all the cards running today. Aqueduct has by far the biggest purse of the day out of all the tracks running. It's nearly 500K in purses. I think Gulfstream is is around 300 and change. I don't know, but Aqueduct has the biggest purses, even though they only have 8 races. That's one thing about, Aqueduct. Even when they have small field, they have pretty good talent and good purses. So you get an honest assessment of the horses and the talent. Now, race 5, 1 mile, 16 claim 3 for 3 and up, 16K on. All the races are on dirt here. I could see that one has come off a couple of second place finishes that were pretty decent. 2 has a jockey. I mean, it has a halfway decent race in the mud where it actually was beaten by the 1, but the jockey Shannon Usky, 0 for 32 for the year, 0 for 14 at Aqueduct. I don't like that. The sire is Shaman Ghost. Now, I'm curious what the pace figures look like, because I notice whenever a horse has Ghost in its name, it has early speed. So that's kind of curious. I'm kind of curious about that. But that one hasn't won in a while. Hasn't won in almost over a year. Last victory for Uncle Waterflow, July of 2022, and that was August in Saratoga, August of 2022. But did run admirably in the mud, was claimed by Rick Dutro and entered here for Patrick Reynolds, who's 13% at Aqueduct. But so far, 1 looks like the fastest so far. Did run well at 1 mile and 1/8 in the mud, 2 seconds. Who else? A lot of them, they're staying at the same level here, so they're keeping it honest. We do have an allowance entry, number 4, dropping from allowance company, but to the claiming level. And it's still way too slow to win. So I don't like 4, Connect the Brooks. Number 3 is a tricky one. It does have one really big race at 1 mile and 16th at Monmouth back in June. Very low, Nepal Chatterpal, very low percentage trainer. 7% going back to 1,390 plus races, 7%. He's removing bandages today. When he removes bandages, he's 3 for 72, 3 wins and 3% winning percentage out of 72 tries. So 2 wins doing that. 8% jockey, Lane Luzzy. I know it has the big race at Monmouth. I can't go there. And the 2 recent times it ran in the mud ran terrible. 19 lengths back and 18 lengths back. So 3's out. I got to say this one goes through 1 and 7, Proven Hope. One's the choice, really. I can't go past the 1 here. And maybe the 2 that had the good race on a wet track that got claimed by from Dutro. I know the jockey's 0 for 32, but this is the type that maybe you can break through. The others I can't vouch for. I could see using 1, 2 for something for the win spot, and I think you'll be okay. Now we're going to go down to the pace scenario. Hang on a second. I guess I didn't see everybody yet. There's 14 entries in here. I thought we were done. Okay. All right. Seven looks interesting. All right. I'm glad I looked further. I didn't realize I had so many entries here. Now, this one, number 12, 1, 2, and I'm going to list 12 for Linda Rice, Memphis. This one ran huge. It ran okay races, last couple of races at the starter company. So now it's in for the claim, but the race at the starter company in April came in 3rd, but ran 5 wide. But if Carmouche can straighten this one out, this one is going to win 12 outright. We'll beat the 1. We'll smoke the 1 and the 2. So I like 1 and 2 is my best 2 choices. But I will list 12 as, and I'll underline it because it's too late. I put the other two in the box as the main one to probably win this race. Now I got to go to the pace figures quick and get that in there. Oh yeah. Okay, Memphis does break from 12, but does have enough early speed. Still going to have to work out a bit of a trip, but it has enough speed that it should be able to clear a bunch of the inside horses and get in position. So I guess they're going to try and do that, straighten that away early. I wouldn't send it too quick, but its race back on October 21st is good enough to win and the main contender. The 1 and 2, the 2 is going to have to come out of the clouds. So I'm a little dubious about that one. The 1, I don't know. I think others will get in front of it early. One may have to work out a bit of a trip, but very solid. I think this goes to the 1 and the 12 here. You know, if you want to just use 2, those are the 2 I would use. As far as the speed goes, 3, Alberto, Lane Luzzy. I talked about that one. That one has some speed. 5, Flash Kiss. That's a rabbit. It's going to be part of the pace, but it's all sprints, so I'm not there, and I didn't like it in the first place. And number 11, Opportunity Set. I see 11 as the main pace here. So let me just bring it up while we're at it. Race 5. Yeah, 11 showed good speed on the wet track. I'll put 11 as my top choice as far as the main speed goes. That one should be able to clear. And the interesting thing about this one is it is dropping from the claiming 40 down, and it has some competitive numbers. Just a shade below the 1 on a wet track. So this one is quick early, and I think 11 is a big player in here. So I think I'm actually going to put this one in with with my win contenders based on its wet track and its early speed, and this is only a mile. And it is Rudy Rodriguez, who is 21% at Aqueduct. And Rudy, this 21% isn't a flash in the pan. It's 21% covering over 3,500 races. And on off tracks, he's 20%. That's covering over 1,600 races. And he has Luis Rivera up, the jockey, who's 11% here. But 11%, he knows how to hit on long ones. 11% winning percentage for 218 races. But he has a 2.91 ROI. And he's a 13% jockey on wet tracks. Overall, 13%, covering almost 800 races. And one of the rare jockeys that boasts, going 795 to be exact, a 2.19 ROI. So this is a jockey that turns a profit. You know? I mean, you're getting 10% on your money if you just bet him every time he runs, you know, based on that 2.19 ROI. Definitely a win contender. I would just forget about the 2, I think. We go back, you know, as far as the win spot, you know, the jockey has no wins. The horse hasn't won since August. All right, let's look at the odds of this race. The Memphis, the one I talked about, the Rice horse. The one that ran the really big one on the wet track a couple back, number 12, 7-2. The one I was just talking about with Rudy Rodriguez, the speed, the main speed, Rivera. So Linda on 12, 7-2. The 11, I put in as a win contender with an underline. No, not the underline was Linda, but the 11 with the speed, main speed, 9-2. Now the one with the two running the best races, fastest races early. South Street did win on the wet track, gets the rail, going to have to close a little bit, 5-1. And the two who has the jockey that's about, and I do have it listed, the jock ran well on a wet track, but the jockey who's 0 for 32, number 2, 10-1. With that, I'm going to just check the chat. We're going to go on to race 6. Got to get through the last 3 races here, then move on, do the same thing with golf and Mahoning, and talk more horse racing, among other things. Race 4, Mahoning, 12-year-old warhorse, Woodland Walk, makes first start of his career? Hoping he goes out a winner. Makes final start of his career. Oh, okay. I was going to say first start of his career. I read that wrong. Let's take a look at that horse real quick. Let's take a look at this one. And because now you got me curious, I'll comment on that. Race 4, Mahoning, 12-year-old, Woodland Walk. Let's see if this one has a chance. 12-year-old. Wow. Now we got some good hot trainer on the 2 here, right? He's going to win that race. He's going to win that race, AB. You know, by the numbers, this one has the others beat. I think they picked a nice spot for him too. Runs great at Mahoning. He's won 3 out of 4 here. And I know Mahoning was sloppy yesterday. He won last time on a wet track, December 11th, won by 6 and change. Time before that on a wet track, he won by 3 3/4. Before that, he won by 2. And the one race he did lose was at the 8K level, 2 back. He lost by less than a length, finishing second. But his numbers are just better. They picked a beautiful spot for this one. He's going to romp here, AB. Let me look at the. He will go out a winner. Let me just look at the pace. He's the pace. He's a wire threat this race. He's probably going to wire the freaking field. 5.5 furlong. Great story, AB. Yeah, he's going to go out a winner. Mark my words. If he doesn't, it will be like a major, major, major upset. Let's see what kind of odds he opens up at today. Got to be like 3 to 5 or 4 to 5 or something. I'll guess 4. 9 to 5. If you get anything close to 9 to 5, you got a gift. Even if you get even money, it's a gift. 4 to 5 is even a gift. He's never going to go off at 9 to 5. Great. Thanks for sharing that with us, AB. Yeah. What race is that? And you take all this. You give me my notes here. Race 4 at Mahoning. This is how I go. This is how strongly I see it. I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's ass. So I got you help me handicap Mahoning there a little bit. There you see my card, Mahoning, race 4. He's the speed and also has the numbers. No one else is even close. Great story. I love the morning show. Yeah, it's brand new, AB. Morning show edition number 2. I'm going to start doing that. It came, I enjoyed it yesterday, and I think racing fans are people that play the races or interested or just want to get something going in the morning, talk horses or hear what's going on. I think it's a good idea, and I enjoyed it at the same time. Okay, so I will be back in a couple of minutes, and we're on to race 6 at Aqueduct. Okay, be right back. Okay, we're back. If you're just joining us, welcome to Old Horse Racing All the Time. I'm your host, Al, and welcome to the morning show. This is the second edition of this show, a show where we talk about a horse racing topic to kick off the show and then do some handicapping and look at what's going on in racing today and talk about picks, open chat for these shows. So I'm going to start doing these shows. This is going to become a series and see what days we'll get it in there. I haven't decided on a schedule. We'll most likely do it more days than not, at least. And some of you might be wondering, what kind of coffee am I drinking today? You see this cup? Let's make it happen. And I'm doing the prep work here. I'm going to be doing a show today covering 3 tracks: Aqueduct, Gulfstream, and Mahoning Valley. So I'm making some notes, some pace notes, some speed notes. So I have things to work off of when I'm doing these shows. And today's coffee is Kahlua coffee. Now, I don't think I ever offered a Kahlua drink. I got this as a gift over a year ago. So the bag is still mostly full, but I have it now and then. And it's a tasty coffee. It's pretty good. I usually don't have this, but today I figured why not? So not bad. And we're looking at these races. Today I talked about how to choose a track. If you're going to play multiple cards, way to address it. And one thing I did suggest, I'm a skilled player and a winning player. And for me, if I cover 3 cards, play between 3 different tracks, that's challenging. Okay. So I'm just suggesting, unless you're really, really prepare in advance or you're incredibly gifted, if you're going to be covering, especially on like a Saturday, if you're going to be covering 5-6 tracks, come on, man. I see that as a recipe for disaster, because some of these go off at the same time. You don't want to be, jumping around from track to track, or God forbid, chasing money, because then you go into that death spiral where you start losing, maybe making picks without looking at any information at all, playing a perverted version of playing the board, which means not really playing the board, looking at the combinations, what they're paying, and or the payouts for the pick 4, using your data. You're not using data. You're looking at the board and you see, oh, wow, there's a 20-1. And there's a 10-1 in there. And let's throw the favorite in with that. And let's throw in a 15-1 and we'll box them up. And if the long shots come in, and you look at nothing, and then you end up getting crushed. So you don't want to do that. Okay, and we move on. AB, love the morning show. Oh, I'm glad you enjoy the show. And thanks again, AB, and thanks for joining us. And that great story here, race 4 at Mahoning. You got a 12-year-old going today, and it's the early speed. It has the best numbers, and it's going to be the final race of his career. And I think it opens at 9-5. If you get 9-5, that's a gift, but it should be a lot of fun watching that race. So we're on the lookout there. Okay, I got to get through. I'm shooting to get through 3 cards here, notes for 3 cards. I got 3 races to go at Aqueduct, then Gulf, and then Mahoning. Yesterday I did this, and I'll tell you, it was even challenging. I got through the first 2 tracks. I got through. What were those tracks? Tampa. I got through Parks. I got through Tampa, the notes, and Mahoning. I only got through the first 4 of 8. So the last 4 races, I had to, get the handicapping in on the fly. And luckily, there's like 5 minutes or so between races, between Tampa and Mahoning yesterday. And I did manage to win a couple of those races at Mahoning, despite doing it on the fly. So will I get through all 3 tracks today? I'll certainly get through Aqueduct. I'll certainly get through Gulf. I got about an hour and a half before, and I'm going to have breakfast. I'm going to take a breakfast break. I didn't eat yet. And I'll do the best I can to get all the notes together for these tracks. So I'm going to try and pick up the pace a little bit here and answer questions along the way as well. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Dario Pioli. Hello, Dario. Good morning. Good luck today. Okay, now we go back to Aqueduct. We got 3 races left. Let's see if we could punch these out relatively quickly. And then, of course, between races, I'll be looking at them closer again and see what the board is. And there's only 8 races at Aqueduct today, and I think there are 8 at Mahoning too. And this is a 1-mile race on dirt. race number 6. I'll go back to the big A. What do we got? Claiming 40K. A nice move to look for in claiming races is one that's dropping from maiden special weight or allowance company. A maiden special weight especially, that's not the case here. You go into the allowance or whatever to the claiming level, usually that can be a strong play. Now this is a 7 furlong race. Let's look at the pace. Is there a standout speed? That's what I'm looking for. Race 6. Wow, Capone really runs some wicked fractions. That's the number 4. Had been ridden by Arad Ortiz, Jose Ortiz, the last 2 races. And now Franco gets up. And Franco did ride it in the race 3 back. So he's ridden this one before Capone. But the last 2 races, it's showing unusual early speed, which is a good sign. And the other one that has some speed is Noda. Now, that's it's running other places. It's not as fast. It ran some quick fractions at Monmouth, which is a notoriously last track. The last race was in a 5.5 at Saratoga. So I don't see that as running up there with number 4, Capone. Quick Hammer's another with speed. This one likes to go to the front. He's either, going back 1, 2, 3, 4 races. He's either taking the lead at the first call or running second by a head at Aqueduct. I'm going to see Capone as the main speed here, followed by Quick Hammer. Quick Hammer maybe by instinct. Capone grabbed the lead by 2 lengths at the first call at Aqueduct on November 24th by running including the run-up time. That's the run-up time is the number of feet that are run. They have a beam that trips the timer where they start timing the opening quarter. And sometimes that distance to the run-up up to the beam that trips the clock can be as much as a couple hundred feet. So the race really started and the horses have been running a bit before it gets to the clock is tripped, okay? And if you consider the run-up time and the opening quarter, Capone's early speed, get this, out of the gate like a bullet, 22.08. And it gets even better. The race before that, including the run-up time, opening speed, 21.64. There is no other horse in this field that can run like that. I mean, Pine Valley, for example, with Herm Harkey, that's the number 9, always likes to go to the front or near the front. And it's running a 22.7, 22.5. I mean, not running 22.08. So I see 4 as the speed, but I will make note of the other ones that like to go to the front as being challenging for the front and maybe getting frustrated because they don't make the front. That would be number 5 and number Quick Hammer and number 9, Pine Valley. And I'll put an F next to them for frustration. But they are front runners to consider because they're going to try. Okay, so but 4 is the speed there in race number 6. And how about their overall speed figures? I give them a glance, look at their trainers a bit, and make note of the ones that look like they have the actual raw numbers to compete. Rick Dutro is the trainer of Capone. Now, the one thing to consider with Capone is, okay, he has run a fast race at Belmont on May of 2022 at this. Now, this one's dropping from the allowance level down to the claiming level. And Rick Dutro, when he drops, going back 226 races, he wins 30% with droppers. I mean, he looks like a controlling speed, but not really the fastest horse. Now, what I mean by that is we have number 10, Dark Vector, from Linda Rice, who is very fast on the mud, has a run coming from the allowance level, has run at the distance. at higher levels. And it didn't win, came in second, say, at Saratoga. It's August 25th. Ran in the mud, but fast, really fast figure, running 4 wide, coming in 5th, 7 back at Aqueduct on the 2nd. But now we're in the claiming level. But overall, the fastest horse. So I got to say 10 would be the one to beat here. It's Rice and Carmouche again. And Kendrick Carmouche on an off track is 19% and 18% overall at Aqueduct, and Rice and Carmouche 20% together. So I see 10 as the one to beat, because who knows, maybe even the 4, Capone, gets a little frustrated if the 5 and 9 hounds him, and even a little bit, he's going to have to play catch me if you can, but the 10 is going to be flying. He's going to be putting up numbers. It's going to be real hard to beat. 10, for example, ran in G1 Company in June at Belmont. It got crushed. It chased. It had to steady, finished 9th, 32 back. But this is a G1 horse. Did compete at that company, number 10, Dark Vector, and has the fastest numbers. And so 10 is the one to beat. But we are going to, pay Rick Dutro homage with 4, Capone. Put him as the second choice. Now, there is one here that has the fastest races of all, and but you got to go back a bit. You got to go back to June at Belmont, June, July at Belmont, and a 1 mile race at Saratoga where it really lit it up. Very, very fast. Numbers that would even top number 10, but they're run at a longer distance. Ice Road for Peter Walder. Walder at Aqueduct, limited body of work, 12% in 69 races. Eric Cancel up. I think the last 2 races weren't that. It came in second at 25K level. So they're moving it up in class. When Walder, very successful at Parks. When he moves up in class, he's 13%. And Walder and Cancel together, limited body of work, 26%, 19 races. He's going to have to dig deep. I think he likes it longer. Maybe he gets something to close into. I'll put 6 as my third choice. 10, 4, 6. Let's look at the odds for this. I got to think 10's going to. I think those are probably going to be the way it plays. I do the handicapping before I see the odds. Race 6. Ooh, Dark Vector. Okay, that's part of a double entry. So the Dutro horse Capone is number 4. Dark Vector is number 1A, breaking from post 10. So I'm going to see, okay, 1A. And that is the favorite, 5-2. And he's running with Kentucky Joker. Let's take a look at Kentucky Joker. So Linda puts brings her A-team, Lescano and Carmouche, to put him on these 2. Let's look at Kentucky Joker, the 1. He breaks from post 3. I mean, if the 1A scratches, I don't want the 1. Because its race is Kentucky Joker on a wet track, finished 3rd, but significantly slower than the others in here at Aqueduct. It got bumped around a little bit. That was October 21st. And the other race, too, there's a races faster at Ellis Park at 1 1/8 miles. I need 1A in here. If it's just the 1, if 1A scratches, forget this entry. So, but the other one, Dark Vector, whatever, he breaks from post 10, but he's 1A. And as far as the other 2, they stand true, 4 and 6. Okay, let me just see what the odds of the 6 are. Ice Road. That's the last one I talked about that you have to, I think it likes it. longer, and it has good races at, going back from June, July, August. Let's see what number 6 opens at. Okay, Dutros enters at 7-2. 6 Ice Road. Okay, you're getting a good price there. Maybe you want to play around with it. Maybe use it underneath. Maybe a 3-horse box, depending on what the odds are, because number 6 Ice Road opens at 10-1. Brad Cox has an entry. I'm just going to bring that one up. It didn't jump out at me when I saw it, but too slow. Breaks from post 12 and open 6-1. I wouldn't bother with it. Okay, we move on to race 7. Almost through the Aqueduct card. And we're at 9:53. Okay. It's the way I see it. If I can burn through these, finish Aqueduct and burn through Gulfstream Park and Mahoning, we already got the 4 down there in the 4th race. We'll be in good shape. I figure if we can get this, in another hour and 15 minutes, take a break for breakfast, and I think we're going to be okay. All right, race 7. We got a stakes race here, 3-year-old fillies and mares, and I think we're going to have some. Am I getting deja vu with this race? I feel like I did this race already. Let me look at this. I know I looked at this race, and I know who I like in this race. Okay, this will be an easy one then. Pace here is number. I know I saw this race. Maybe I looked at it after first downloading. I don't know. Yeah, let me go back. I mean, the pace looks like I didn't I talk about Bustin Bay? Oh, I think I talked about it with somebody here. Somebody mentioned it in chat. That's what it is. That's what it is. I think it was Daniel Haskell, free PP today, Aqueduct race 7. And I talked about it earlier, but I didn't write it down. I hadn't started my sheet yet. Because I'm saying this race looks so familiar. It was like, did I do it out of order? No, I answered Daniel's question. And here's Daniel. I'm talking about this race now, so I'll talk about it again real quick and move on to the 8th race. A 4 looks like the standout in this race. No horse. All right. Let's go. One has early speed, but doesn't have the numbers. Let's get that out of the way real quick. 4 looks like the best one in here. Hasn't run at Aqueduct, but very consistent. I think it's, 2, Fengel's Cave. Just very nice numbers. His won 4 out of 5, and the one race was a G2, the last race, finished second for Bat. And the only reason it really lost, it got bumped and squeezed at the start, and then he was still coming, and it's at a mile, and Last race was 7 furlongs at Keeneland and still managed to finish second despite the trouble. It's just the standout horse in the race, race 7, number 2. But I'm going to make it a co-favorite because number 6, Know It All Aubrey, is a wet track specialist, consistent as can be, knows how to win, and just very, very solid stakes winner. And numbers not quite as fast as 4, but he really loves the wet track. So I think I would use both 2 and number 6 in this race. As far as the pace goes, Linda Rice has a horse, Bustin' Bay, who did run a race 3 back that is fast enough to win this. The class is not as high, puts Carmouche up, but the race 3 back wanted a mile here at the optional claim 62. And it's going to be part of the pace. And 2, 6, and I'll just throw 5 with a question mark. That would be my third choice, only because the race that ran 3 back would really be able to get it done, okay? And it was run at a mile at this track at a lower level. Ran 3 wide, but ran very fast. The race 2 back bugs me. Finished 7th, 42 lengths back. And that was at the optional 62.5K claiming level. But bounced back, didn't run fast enough to win this, not nearly as fast at 7, and did finish second, 3/4 back at 125 claimer in the mud. The only thing the 5 has to offer here is if somehow it manages to bust loose early, but that big race was run on a dry track. It usually likes to stalk. I say 1 is the main speed in race 7, followed by Bustin' Bay. So I'll list 1 first, 5 second. Now we move to race 8, final race at Aqueduct. Excellent point, Steve. Fingal's Cave coming off over a year layoff. Let me go back to that for a second. Thanks there, Steve. I'm seeing these for the first time. Thanks for pointing that out. 432 days off. Let me bring something up here. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that there. That's good. Thank you. Knowledgeable crowd here. Rice is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 8 races today, by the way. How's it working out? Let's see. Walked out at Belmar, 29th out of 141. Now, this is a 4-year-old. So making his first start as a 4-year-old. A bullet on the 16th, first of 19, 10 1-minute flat. Definitely I still got to consider this. December 8th, 50, December 1st, November 26th. Then it had a break. It worked October 30th. October 16th, a bullet, first of 42, 59 and 1. October 22nd. Okay, they've been working it. And I got to figure it's more mature now than it was as a 3-year-old. Opens 2-1. I still got to consider it. Now, I said I see 2 and 6 as co-favorites. I can't dismiss Fingal's Cave. What I would do in my suggestion here would use 2 and 6 in multis. I don't know what the odds are yet, but I'm going to look at it. David Donk, bringing him back over 90 days away, 11% out of over 1,300 races. But yeah, that does raise a concern, and did win on a muddy track and has run a G2 company. You don't know what happened. I think 5, then 6 almost becomes the favorite. And I'll keep it the same. I see the pace as the same scenario. Let me go back to the chart for a second. Fingal's Cave. Interesting. Has never raced at Aqueduct. Things to consider. We got to keep an eye on that on the board. So I'm still going to keep them in there. I'll use 2 and 6. I still don't see anyone getting past them. Now I see number 3 is listed at 5-2. Specialist at the course has won 4 of 6 at the distance. Has been on the board 6 or 7 times at Aqueduct, 2-2-2. 2 first, 2 second, 2 third. So I'm going to address number 3 for a second again. I think 4 and 5 are both faster than the 3. But it does have one really big race at Aqueduct in December of 2022, where if it repeats that race, it wins. And that was on a muddy track. And it finished 3rd at a muddy track the last 2. I don't see it faster than Fingal's Cave or Know It All Aubrey. As far as the pace goes, I think Know It All Aubrey might even be better than this one, the 5. Thought we got an easy one there. Now I'm sticking with these. 3 is a nice one, very consistent. I think this was a race I most, unless I'm getting good odds, I use as a stepping stone in a pick 4. All right, on to race 8. Thanks for that, Stephen. Very good information there. That helps. Verdine, good morning, Coach. Are you doing a live show later today? Yes. Hi, Verdine. Good morning. Good to see you. I am covering Aqueduct, Gulfstream, and Mahoning. And this is episode 2 of the morning show. I'll be doing from time to time. I don't know how often. Covering a top horse racing topic and some horse racing track news, horse racing news. In the morning, for those of you who want to get your fix of horse racing or early with open chat. So this is episode 2. I did one of these yesterday, and I do some handicapping and prepping for the shows. Today, I'm doing a live show starting shortly before noon, covering Aqueduct, Gulfstream Park, and Mahoning Valley. Glad to see you, Verdine. Olin, I think the morning show terminates like an intermission. Well, Olin, you're entitled to your opinion. Okay, who else? Okay, who else do we got here? Race number 8. All right, let's talk about it. Talking about race 8, Aqueduct, give everybody a heads up that we're on there. Race number 8. And this is the final. They have 8 races at Aqueduct today. Race number 8, let's talk about it. Okay, 1 mile on dirt, maiden claim, 32-year-old fillies. Okay, so we got a 2-year-old race to, round out this card. Maiden claim. And we have a big field, 11 entries. And remember, these are first time through, looking through the card. I want to get my notes together. You can see I'm taking notes if you are just joining the show. I have them broken up this way. Let's see, the track on, 3 different columns. It's not neat, but I understand what it means. The column on the right, say for Aqueduct, these are the horses that are the early speeds, the main early speeds in order listed. On the left, those are by the speed figures that look and they fit the race well. So like, for example, race 7, you see one looks like the main speed early, but I don't have him as one of my win contenders. I see it as 2, 6, 5, the win contender coming from there. I think we have I'm torn between the 5 and the 3 for the third spot, but we'll go from there. So race number 8 at Aqueduct, we do have 11 entries. So first thing we're going to do, again, we're going to go to the early speed and we're going to look at some of the conditions, how these horses are doing. I think we have a standout here, but let's look. I think the inside horse, dropping from maiden special weight to maiden claiming, has run on the mud. It has come in second in the mud here at 6. Came in 4th in the mud at 5.5. So let's go look at the early speed here for a second. That's a Rudy Rodriguez, Ruben Silvera, breaks from the rail, race 8. Early speed looks like Song of Solimini, that it gets the blinkers on, number 5. Has run on the mud. It definitely looks like the early speed. I have a lot of them stretching out here. Have never run a mile or more. Solimini looks like gets Trevor McCarthy ridden. Trevor has ridden this one once before. It's maiden attempt in October, and then run by Jackie Davis, his sister-in-law. Trevor married to Katie Davis. Okay, but last time out, including the run-up time, which I talked about, ran at 22-4 opening quarter. So yep, it's no secret that number 5 is going to try and wing it on the front end here against this group. We don't see any others in here that have a tendency to go to the front. Handle on You, number 1, looks like the standout as far as my quick glance at the speed figures. And let's see if there are any others in here that stand out. Born for Greatness, number 8, has a little early speed. Has shown speed on a wet track, ridden by Dylan Davis. He's ridden this one before. So I am going to list 5 and October 20th. I think I'm going to list these two as the coast speeds, 5 and 8. They both ran quick on mud early. So no real dominant one. I'm not sure which one's going to take the lead. I mean, 5 went to the front, not 5. Both of them have grabbed the front once before. So let's take a look at one looked like the best one overall, but now I want to but let's go to the 5. Song for Solimini, he's part of the pace, but that's about where the fun ends. Too slow for this field. The one that looks really interesting as a second choice and dropping, it stays at the same level, is Linda Rice's Love Like Crazy. Makes second start, has run on the mud before, December 3rd. At 6.5, finished 4th at 7 back. But Linda's second time out, wins 23% of the time with a 2.22 ROI. 7 has some interesting races here. This is not going to be that easy. Comes out of the same race as Linda on December 3rd, Aqueduct's 9th. Linda came in 4th, 7 back. This one came in 3rd, 3 3/4 back. Likes the mud. Rachel Sella. The thing is, Eric Cancel up. Linda's probably going to get this. They usually improve second time out. So you got bumped at the break. It got stuck running wide. And I know the 7 did defeat the 4 last time by 3.5 lengths, but I expect improvement from Linda. So I do like the 4 second best, Lescano and Rice. I'm looking for improvement there. Born for Forgiveness, another one that just looks too slow for these. I think what's going to happen is this one, the 5 and the 8 are just they're going to set the early pace, and both of them are going to fall off. It's run at this level, finished 14 back last time. I had a mile. I can't deal with it. So I like 1-4. I'll take a look at the one that challenged Linda or to past Linda. Rachel Seller is the trainer, 5% trainer at Aqueduct, 9% trainer going back 1,500 races. 1-4, and then I'll list 7 a bit. I just want to check the pace of 4 and 7 to see what they look like. And then we'll move on to Gulfstream Park. Yeah, Linda's horse should get, even with the bad start, she was running faster than the 7. And I think it goes through 1-4. If you're playing a Blade Pick 4, that looks like the type of race. And Linda is actually, the other one with a little bit of speed is the 3, but not really, not as fast as the others. Okay, 1-4, 7, question mark, see if something's happening. See what kind of odds are we getting on 1-4 and 7. I have to think 1's the favorite this race, either 1 or 4. Maybe they give it to Linda. Yeah, I'm right. Haven't seen the odds in advance. Number 1, Handle on You, 5-2. Favorite, 4, Linda. The second choice at 3-1. And number 7, odds maker sees it the same way I do. On the one that beat Linda last time, 9-2 is a third choice. Very chalky. I just use 1 or 4 here in multi-race plays. Let's go on to Gulfstream Park. Welcome to the morning show if you're just joining us. It's a new edition here. I did for the first time yesterday where I talk about a racing subject and then discuss what's going on here. To kick off the show, start with a racing subject that you see in the thumbnail. And then cover racing events, what's going on in the racing. Today, racing observations, first look at today's cards if I'm doing a show that day. And this is the morning show edition 2. Today's coffee is Kahlua coffee. Not bad. Not my favorite, but give it a shot. Has a pleasant flavor. I've never ordered a Kahlua drink before. French vanilla, maybe that's why I like it. It's okay. Okay, Gulfstream Race 1. They got 9 races there. Let me see how many races are at Mahoning today. 9 races at Mahoning, too. Will I get through the Mahoning card? Let's get a race in here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 9 races at Gulf and Mahoning and 8 at Aqueduct. I have 1 at Mahoning done already. All right. Put my numbers in here. I just want to look at the Mahoning fields. Maybe Mahoning, do they have big fields? 7 horses. A bunch of scratches at Mahoning. Let's do Mahoning now because we got scratches in there already. Oh, a lot of scratches at Mahoning. In the fourth race, Woodland, the walk, we got that one. There were 1, 2, 3, 4 scratches in there. So that becomes a 5-horse race. Let's do Mahoning. Because they got the scratches in already. And the other tracks don't. Okay, race 1, Mahoning. We have 2 unraced entries. Terrible horses. 6 furlongs, maiden special weight. A number 1 and number number 1 and number 3 are the pace there. 1 is the main pace, followed by 3. And then we go over to, let me see, 1 sec. Okay, so 1 and 3 followed is the main speed, followed by 3. And we got the scratches there already, so this is not going to be too bad. Maiden special weight, 2-year-old fillies and mares. And 3 just threw a clunker in the first race, brief speed and then faded, looks too slow. Now, 5 is clearly the one to beat. It's changing trainers, and this trainer, Craig Sweeting, is a new trainer, and he hits 15% first time out of his barn with a 2.28 ROI, and team with Luis Batista, the jockey. They're 18% together, covering 90 races. So I see that one as the main win contender in race 1. And we're going to shift over. I definitely see it. I think 1 is going to be hampered a little bit by the by the 3, Hot Princess, which opens the door for a first-time starter here, Jeff Windy Dancer, for a trainer who wins 13%, and teamed with the jockey Luis Rivera, is 21% together. They're covering over 2,700 races. So I think that's, I think I like this race better for multi-race plays with the scratches and the small field. So I like 5 best and 2, and maybe both of them in multi-race plays. I like 2 second best, but 5 has some speed early, and so and it's already run on a wet track, and it was a sloppy track yesterday. So 1-3 is the speed, and 5-2, the first 5 has run the fastest of those who have ran, and 2 a decent winning percentage for first-time starters. And I think 4 might have been scratched, if I'm not mistaken. No. I actually have to include 4 also in this mix. 2 and 4. You may go 3 deep in here. This is a little interesting because this is a first time out and it's not scratched. Listen to the 4. I'm glad I went there. Not crazy about the sire, though. It's really an untested sire. No wins yet out of 30 first time out. Number 4, Spunky One, goes for Jason DaCosta. We're going to look closer at that at race time. But first time starters, 2-year-old maiden special weight. Listen to this. Jason wins 24% of the time first time out of 67 races. Got to be respected. 14% Jock, Salazar up. Okay, let's look at the odds. So I got 5, 2, and 4. I prefer 2 over the 4. And 1, 3 is the speed. So let's see what the board says here. They have 1 on the board at 3-2. I disagree with that. I think it gets caught up in the pace duel, and it's not as fast. I like 5 best, and 5 is on the board right now. Okay, 1 opens at 9-2. It's currently 3-2. And the 5, who I like best, was the morning favorite, opens 5-2, currently 8-5. And the 2 and the 4, the first-time starters, 2 opened at 7-2, 4 opened at 3-1. Currently, the 2 is 9-1, and the 4, spunky 1, is at 4-1. Okay, let's go to race 2. There's 2 scratches, 2 and 5 are scratched. Let's go to the pace. 2 and 5 scratch, race 2, Mahoning. The 5 is scratched, the 2 is scratched. That leaves 3 as the lone speed of those who have started. So 4, 6, and 7 first timers all still in there. I gotta say something lucky is the speed. Has run on a wet track before. 3 is the first time starter. Ooh, excuse me. All righty, let's see. I just want to get something. Be right back. All right, we're back. Let's see, where are we? Mahoning race number. Okay, so 3 looks like the speed in here of those who have raced. Now, we got some first-time starters in here. If you're just joining us, welcome to All Horse Racing All the Time. I'm your host, Al. Welcome to the morning show. Okay, it's a new edition. I did the first show yesterday, and this is something I'm going to be doing from time to time. And talking horse racing, a different subject described in the thumbnail. And then take a look at the racing events, open chat, and talking racing, talking about the cards we'll be covering for the day. And I want to say good morning to James. James, for the heads up on the scratch. We saw that. Yeah, there's some scratches here. They have the scratches out there for Mahoning early. Good luck today. Thanks for joining us. And now we're going to go back and look at some of the races here. I already covered Aqueduct in my notes. So we got some firsters. It's a 2-year-old for fillies, maiden special weight. The 6 looks like it has a very weak, as far a weak trainer. So I would stay off the 6. Even the sire is pretty much untested. But as far as the other first-time starters go, Jason DaCosta, dangerous with first-time starters. Wins 24. Jason DaCosta had one in the previous race. 24%. Has Angel Diaz riding together. They're 27%. So 4 must be respected. And what about the 3, Something Lucky, the one that does have some speed? These are not fast horses. These are slow horses. I mean, the standout with experience in here is clearly number 5, History in the Making, making her 6th start at this level, has already run at a stakes level, has come in 2nd and 3rd, including 3rd. The 3rd was on a wet track. Trainer Craig Sweeting at Mahoning, a 15% trainer, has an 18% jock, Batista. So 5, I would think, has to be considered. No, not 5. Wait, the 5 is scratched. That's right. So that's out. So I think this is a battle of the first-time starters here. Number 4, Lightning Lottie, high percentage. Jason, we talked about that one. Number 4, Lightning Lottie. I think the firster is going to be the one to take it home here. Of those with experience, anyone here can do anything. 6. You have the 6 first-time starter, Ferdinand Silva. Frank Reyes has a decent 15% jock, but only a 8% trainer in almost 900 starts and 5% at Mahoning. I don't like any of these. I don't like any of these entries. Maybe the 1. Let me check the pace on the 1. I go 4, maybe the 1. Has the same jockey. Will probably be the let me just look at the 3 for a second again. Something Lucky. Going from the maiden. I can't batch by these. 1 and 3 are virtual coin flip. Low percentage trainers. Bold Ruby, contended, gave way. Let me look at Bold. I'm not going to beat this to death. I think the 4 is the standout here. Either that or it's a pass race. I'll put a P next to it. Now we move on to race 3 at Mahoning. James, we're 2 and 6. Oh, then now they scratched the 5 out. Interesting. So I think it looks like they're doing it a race at a time here. So that leaves me on 2 and 4. What a rough card at Mahoning. It must be coming down there, and I got the 2 and the 6 scratched. So I do like 4, 5, and 4 in the second. All right, thanks for the update. James, it seems like they're coming in here as we move along. I'll do the best I can with these. And let's see, race 3. Good morning, Al. Big A last Sunday. Mandatory payouts. Hopefully you can live live cast if you are not busy. I'll see. We'll see what Sunday brings, Stephen. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on the morning show. It's a new edition, new show that I'll be doing from time to time, covering a horse racing topic at the top of the show, and then going through racing events for the day, open chat, and taking a look at the races for that day when I'm doing a live show as I start to break them down in the morning. Mandatory pick six. The thing about Aqueduct is they have the $1 rain six, right? And let's see. This card looks like it's going to be a freaking washout here. Race 3, 2 and 8. Mahoning. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the third race here at Mahoning, and then I'm going to move over to Gulf to make sure I get all 9 done there. For today, I'm planning a live show, Stephen, covering Aqueduct, Gulfstream, and Mahoning. So let's take a look at race 3. We have 2 and 6, 2 and 7 scratched. In race 3 at Mahoning, let's talk about it. Poker Partner is in good form right now. Yeah, number 6 is clearly the one to beat. It's an allowance race for 2-year-olds. It's been running in Stakes Company. Finished second last out for Jason DaCosta. 14% at Mahoning. And when he brings them back, like say 36 days back, he hits at a 22% rate, 16% trainer, covering almost 2,700 starts with Salazar and the saddle. They're 10% together, but by the numbers and by the class. Number 6, maybe a single here. Number 1, El Bambino has nice numbers. 3 is a question mark. It's coming in. It's run on a wet track, and it won first asking You Bet a Fortune at Mountaineer. Now, it's not as fast as number 6 and not as fast as number 1. But his second start, you look for improvement. Jay Bernardini, the trainer, who is 16% at Mahoning and 1,019 tries. Now with Mountaineer season over, they shift in recess right now. They're shifting the Mountaineer horses over to Mahoning. 18% jock. Ran 4 wide last time, but 1. But I'm going to put number 2 or 1 as my second choice from Nestor Rivera, who's 15% at Mahoning and just runs the next fastest races behind number 4. I will list number 8 with a question mark. No, I will list number 1 after number 6, and I will put number 3 with a question mark. Those are the fast ones here, and I'm going to go back to the pace for a second. Yeah, Poker Partner's a wire threat. It's the controlling speed. To give you an example, including the run-up time, which I talked about earlier. If you're not familiar with a run-up time, here's what it is. When they time the opening quarter, the first call, the clock is tripped, the stopwatch, the clock is tripped by a laser beam that is positioned somewhere above the starting gate. So they start timing the opening quarter once that horse runs up. That's why they call it a run up. Hits the clock, hits the laser beam, and the clock starts timing the opening quarter. How fast the horse is moving when it covers the opening quarter. So there's the opening quarter, and there's that once the clock is tripped, and there's the real opening quarter. Once the starting gate opens. And now Poker Partner, opening quarter, 21.82 seconds. So this one is like a rocket ship out of the gate. And not only that, he's the fastest horse in this race to begin with and should have a jump on the field. No one else runs like that, and no one else has his numbers. I think this one's going to go off at 2 to 5, 3 to 5. So yeah, the speed is there, and race 3, number 6, is the speed, and I don't see anyone that can even challenge this one early. So fastest speed, hits your single here probably in race 3 at Mahoning. So we got the first 4 covered at Mahoning. Now we're going to shift over. I want to make sure I get Gulfstream done because I'll probably be going live in about an hour. And I still have to eat something. I didn't have breakfast yet. Gulfstream Daily Double. Christopher. Good morning, Christopher. I'm going to start looking at Gulfstream now. Okay, 8, 9. Okay, good luck. And thanks for sharing that, Christopher. Stephen, Mahoning, race 3 for me. 6, got to get it done. Yeah, I think 1 is next best. And okay, good luck. All right, let me see what's going on here. And if you're just joining us, the morning show, welcome to the morning show, episode 2. Be a show I'll start doing now on some mornings, cover a topic. You'll see the topic right within the thumbnail. Racing topic. Today's topic was, playing multiple cards at once. And today, more specifically, part 2, choosing your cards to play. You don't want to be playing 5 cards at once. If you saw the show yesterday, I'm an experienced player, and you saw how challenging it is to give solid information covering 3 cards. Could you imagine 5 or 6 on a Saturday? Let me see here. Okay, so I'm going to step away for a few minutes here. I got to take care of a couple of things. I got to, get down some breakfast real quick. But yeah, maybe I'll do that after the show. But I'm going to be away for a little bit and checking in. And we will be back, and we're going to continue knocking out their 9 races at Gulfstream. We're going to be covering 3 tracks today: Aqueduct, Gulfstream, and Mahoning. And Mahoning looks like there's still wet over there. So it's going to be a big day of racing today. So we'll be back in just a bit. Okay, we're back. Welcome to All Horse Racing All the Time. I'm your host, Alan. Welcome to the morning show. Covering the races here, getting set for today's show, taking notes on the contenders for the three race tracks I'm going to be covering today. I'm going to be covering Aqueduct, Gulfstream, and Mahoning Valley. I've been through Aqueduct, been through the first four at Mahoning. Show's going to go off shortly before noon. I'm actually going to be having breakfast now, having a peanut butter and jelly bagel. Anyway, but I'm not going to eat on the show. But what I will do is I'll put up the show description, and I want to forge ahead doing it right now and work down the card and, have breakfast at the same time. And we're going to Gulfstream Race 1. Okay. Gulfstream Race 1. I don't know if they have scratches over there yet. Yes, they do. They have the one is scratched in the first at Gulfstream Park. So we're going to look at the pace figures. Let's see something here, Gulfstream. Doesn't look like that good of a race. I think this, from what I'm seeing of it here, it's probably better off for multi-race plays. One is scratch. That leaves 2 as the lone speed. Now, this is on the poly track, and this one does run pretty quick fractions. I think 2 should really get loose here. Kindness is free. Now, this is a mile. 2 is the speed. Yeah, maiden claim 12K. This one's just too slow. Great Princess looks very solid. Number 3, Great Princess, drops from the 25 level for Jorge Delgado. Gets Irad Ortiz, 30% with Delgado. Irad is 28% at golf. Has been trying to break through for a while, so they're dropping it down. When Delgado drops, he's 21%. And number 4, Aperol Spritz, makes its first. Had a second place finish at this level. Last out for Kelly Breen, gets Paco Lopez. That's the other fast one. So I see this as either now for a very low percentage trainer, Nader Mobarek, 6% trainer of all races at Gulfstream, gets Jose Ortiz, has a race 2 back at a mile and 16th that fits this. That doesn't fit this. It's a little long, but it's a race at a mile at Ellis Park that can actually is fastest of them all. But it was on turf and gets Jose Ortiz. Now, ran this distance a mile 70 at optional claim 40 last out and finished 8th, 9 back. I want to go back to the pace yet. Great Princess. I mean, the 2 is a 30-1 shot with slow figures. So it's going to probably jump out front. And OK Fine is a closer. Aperol Spirit is a closer. I got to go Irad here with the 3 making that drop. The pace, though, is number 2. Even though it should be out front by quite a bit. And can it steal a position, third place in a show at 30-1? I don't know. Probably not. It's a rabbit. I'd put 2 as my first choice, followed by 4. 4 and 8. And 8 does have the races that can win based on the turf figures, and it gets Jose Ortiz. So I'm torn between the 4 and the 8. So I'm going to put 4, 8 as co-second choices here. You know, 3 and 4, 8. I don't know what I do with these. Do you use all 3 in the multis? Let's look at the opening odds. Yeah, Great Princess. The 2, the 3 is open 2-1. Currently 4-5. The 4 open 3-1, currently 7-2, and the 8, the one that ran the turf race, is fast enough to win this if it can transfer it over to PETA. Open 5-2, currently 4-1. Problem with that one is the 8 has run on PETA, goes from the optional claim 40, and did not run as fast as the others, and it was on PETA at this distance. Race number 2, we got a couple of scratches. They're off the turf at Gulfstream Park. Look at the pace here. I got to think 3 is scratched. No, stays in there, the favorite. Both races on turf. Let's see if it, and the 7 is scratched. On first time starter, good. The other first time starter, from what I see of it, doesn't look that hot. As far as the pace goes, 3 looks like the pace. It's a mile. It was sprinting. How about number 8? Or 9? It's hard to judge the pace here. I'd say 3 followed by 8 is the pace. Move on up. That's Tyler Gaffleone. But what about numbers? Race 2, Gulfstream Park, off the turf there. Moving on up in 3 dots and well, 3 dots is scratched. I like number 3. I still like 3. Has the pace and most likely I'm looking at the speed figures. Okay, I lost my data. Brandon Walsh and Tyler Gaffleone together on number 3, 20%. It's hard for me to look past the 3 here. Just has superior numbers. Three nine, getting off to a chalky looking start here at Gulf. All right. I have to open up my data again. It just closed. Okay, let's stick with this right now. Yeah, at least this one is run on Tapeta from Brian Lynch. Does get Paco Lopez. Finished 5th at the maiden special weight level and drops. And it has decent turf races with Paco, so we'll go there. Race number 3 at Gulfstream. All right, no scratches. Track is listed as muddy. New York's going to be, all 3 tracks are going to be muddy today. Now, yesterday I covered 3 tracks, not Aqueduct. I covered Parks, Tampa Bay, and Mahoning. I did a show covering those 3, and I wound up after all the races, 27 races. I gave picks for all the races that at those tracks. I wound up personally up $6.05. Out of the 27 races, I played 16, hit 8 of them. I passed on 11 races and wound up $6.05. I did a show for Turfway Park at night, all 9 races. Played conservatively, gave out picks, gave out a flat-out winner, a couple of them, and finished the 9 races up $4.52. So yesterday, as a whole, all right, it can be a little irritating not hitting big ones or anything, but that's how it goes sometimes. I wound up the day up $10.57 from my 2 shows. Okay, race the 3 here on a muddy track. So you take the mud into consideration. 1 mile, 3-year-old fillies, 3 and up for fillies and mares. Claiming $35K. Now, I think this might be one that we got some opportunities here. Now, this is on dirt. You know, right off the get-go, the one has some nice numbers. It goes for John Service, with Luis Saez. Now, Luis Saez is in service together with 37% with a 2.75 ROI. Saez here is 19%, 22% jockey on the dirt. Now, this is a mile race. Last two races at Parks in Monmouth. That's thus service here, brings them in from Parks. So one little bit of a question mark, though. First and second. And this is a claiming race, and it's dropping from maiden special weight. And when service drops, covering over 620 races, he's 18%. Sylvia's Hero looks dangerous. I mean, has a couple of... My only qualm with this one is I think it prefers sprinting, as evidenced by the last race and the race 3 back. Stephen Volken, the trainer, 10% trainer here with Vasquez, the jock, 14%. Together over 350 races, they're 18% with a 208 ROI. But the one that is a model of consistency, moving up in class, oh, geez, Miss Ukrainia. I mean, this one, it ran at stakes level in January. I mean, no matter what level it runs at, it runs a consistent race. So far I'm looking at one. I think I like one best. And a split between 5 and 6. 6 looks like the value. Let me just look at the pace. As we're trying to blow through these and get everything ready to go. Sylvia's Hero. Yeah, Sylvia's Hero is going to be the pace here. Number 5. I think 5 might even be the top choice. My only... Yeah, 5 runs its race. I mean, 1-5... 1-5. 5 is the pace. Let's put it that way. I can list just one. I'll show you what my chart looks like in a second. And 1-5, I like either 1-5 best to win. It's almost a split. And number 5 and number 6, Miss Ukrainia, second best. But 6 being so consistent and 5 being a question mark at the distance, and 1 having to be a deep closer. I think the race here, this play, I think a play already here in race 3 is a pair of boxes, 1-5 and 1-6, because just by their running style. Let's look at their odds. All right, race 3. I called it almost, but we got some good news here. Sylvia's Hero, number 5, is 2-1, the favorite. That's the pace and has the fastest race, but the sprinting races. 1 is the deep closer that you know it's going to get the distance for a service, 3-1. But Miss Ukrainia, number 6, is actually opens as the long shot at 6-1 and fits this race like a glove. So I'm going to put a dot next to it. I don't know. Looks a little bit interesting. Let's go to race 4. What time is it? 11:05. Here you can see my notepad as I'm putting this together. Well, let me put it up here. I'll get myself back on the screen for a second in between. There I got the 3 tracks I'm doing. Each track is split into 2 columns. And the first column represents early speed. Now look at Gulfstream. Now the right column represents early speed. Like race 3, you look at it, 5 is the early speed. The left column represents the horses I like best to win. And you can see I have a dash between the 1 and 5. So I'm kind of split there and followed by the 6. And I'm thinking, especially now with 6 opening at 6-1, I think a key box, 1-5, 1-6. You can see I've completed Aqueduct, and I got some of Mahoning done, and I figured it's more important that I get Gulfstream done. I'll get done what I can. before the start of the show. And from there, I may have to do it on the fly. I had to do that on the fly for Mahoning because I only got through the first 4. But I did get through Tampa and did get through Parks. So that's where we're at. So I got notes to go by. Okay, race 4, 4, and 8 look like the speed, but I give a slight edge to 4. Here's the problem with 4. It's a maiden claiming race, 7 furlongs on a muddy track. Maiden claim, 12K, 2-year-old fillies. Scratches this race? None. Got a bunch of these here that are running mostly on Tapeta, which really sucks. Jeep claimers, they're trying different surfaces. They're inconsistent. One that keeps moving forward. I think I have to go with just the 2 fastest horses in this race. Let me just see. Blue-Eyed Warrior. Ran 4 wide, concealed, broke slow. Still came in second at 5 and a half here. 2 and came in second at the 20K level, so it drops for Kelly Breen. Breen, 21% with droppers. Gets Joe Bravo, Jersey Joe Bravo up. Now, this is a wet track, and I'm trying to see if there's anybody that really does anything on a wet track before. No one with wet track experience. She Can Scat, number 9, does have a race at Hawthorne. Couple back. Oh, God. I'm having a hard time moving past the 2 here. Blue-Eyed Warrior making its second start. Second time out, Kelly Breen hits 23% with 2-year-old maiden claims. Let's go to the pace. Yeah, it's an off-the-pace type, and it's coming from Delaware. Carol Sedano wrote it today. Joe Bravo. Looks like the best one in here. As far as the pace goes, looks like 4 and 8. My Sweet Danny Girl. Yeah, I see 4 being the pace. 4 followed by 8. I see number 2 is the win choice. It's very hard to come up with a second. Let me see what the odds are here in the 4th race. 9-2 on the 2. We're getting a gift, folks. Let's see. Irad Ortiz is on the 3. Dreamy. Let me go to this one. I'm thinking 2 is a single. Dreamy has only run on the Tapeta. Let me just see what this looks like. Race number 4. It has even run on dirt and has run as fast as Blue-Eyed Warrior. I don't even think I'd go that one second. I'd probably go 9. She Can Scat second for Cheryl Weinbach, who is 24%. Luis Saez at least has run a fast race on dirt. It made him special weight in August. Let me just see the odds of 9, 3 and 9. 9 is 5-1. 4, 3, Dreamy. I can't back 3. Let me just check the pace on the 9. I think that's all I ride is why they made that 3 the first choice. I see 3 as maybe the third choice. No, I think that's fair. Race 4, 2, followed by 3, followed by 9. The 3 has some good early speed on the dirt, although it's not as fast as the 2. Let's go to 5. What time is it? 11:12. This is now, I imagine, off the turf. We got 1 and 3 scratched. Let's catch up with the comments here. Okay, Steven is giving out some picks here. Good luck, Steven. 2, 4, 5, 8, race 4 for me. Yeah, 2, 4, 8. Okay, good luck, Steven. Thanks for sharing your picks. And let's get back to this. And almost done with this bagel. And I'll get done what I can here as far as the notes go. Race number 5. We got 1 and 3 scratched. Okay, 1 and 3 scratch. Mile and a 16th. Three and up fillies and mares. Okay, the 1 scratch, that changes everything. 2 is clearly the one to beat. I ride Ortiz up there. Just moving forward, good numbers. I know 11% trainer in Carlos Luis Perez. Out of Keen Ice. My Lion is a second choice. I just saw it. Taffy Joseph Jr. A very weak second choice, considering the scratches. Very weak. 9-2. Now I'm looking at Ian Wilkes, mint edition, very consistent runner, but runs well on the Tapeta. Yeah. Apple Shake hasn't run on Tapeta, lightly raced. Mint edition. Number 4. I like number 4 second best. 2-4 for the win spot. And how about for the pace? I did the thing, the numbers first while since the scratches are out. Oh, 2's going to be the early speed followed by mint edition. So those 2 are going to go for the And it works out perfectly that way. I think those two are going to run 1-2 around the track. Probably a 2-4 straight. And let's get the odds here. Mint Queen Maka, the favorite, 5-2. Going to get back. The one was scratched. It was a favorite. So 5-2 with Irad Ortiz is going to be very chalky. Mint Edition, 8-1, which is nice because 5 opens at 9-2 and 7 opens at 3-1, and 8 has the edge on. 4 has the edge on both of them, but it's longer odds. So I'd go 4 here. 2, 4, and 2 is the speed. All right. Race 6. One scratch, number 5, 1 mile on a muddy dirt track. Better race for multi-race plays here. With the scratch and the short field, kick that Rainbow Six home. Especially since I have the race there with 2 horses. We're going to go down. Okay, we're on race 6. The big favorite was scratched. Cools on. Very chalky single here. Secret Lover towers over the others. Number 4 to win. So you got a single. This might be a pick for a Rainbow Six play here. It may not be the biggest Rainbow Six, but it's going to pay something, and it probably is not going to be much of an investment. I mean, Secret Lover, now this is an optional claiming race, and Secret Lover finished second in a 300K stakes on December 2nd. Gets Joe Bravo up and Antonio Sano, the trainer, who is 11% here. Bravo is 20% in his return to the East Coast here at Gulfstream Park, a 20% winning percentage out of 41 races. No one else in here can touch the 4 as far as speed figures. How about pace? Secret Lover also holds a slight pace edge over number 1. Holds a pace edge over number 1. So Secret Lover looks like the best number and the best pace. Has to just run around the track at a mile and get home. Race number 7, 5.5 furlong sprint, Frosted Faith. This is 5.5 on the Tapeta. And Frosted Faith, clearly the speed on the Tapeta, followed by 2 and 5. Now we're just gonna go 4-2 as far as pace, early pace goes here. Frosted Faith. Four followed by 2. Let's make sure nobody's scratched. We're on race 7. Huh. How about numbers wise? What do these look like? Let's see. Okay, so we got the pace out of the way. Race 7 of 9 here at Gulfstream. Race 7. Yeah, it looks like Frosted Faith is also the main speed and the best in here. It is going way up in class from 10K up to 35K. Does the horse know what class it's in? If it doesn't, it's the fastest early and the fastest races. So he doesn't have to look at the others for a while. He should be way out front. So I'm going to put number 4 as my first choice. Comes back in 12 days for Anthony Magoda Jr., who is brings him back between 11, 29 days, 14%. With Jose Ortiz, they're 50%. They won 5 of 10 together with a 3.38 ROI. Jose Ortiz doesn't have the numbers at Gulfstream Park that Irad Ortiz has. Irad, 28%. Jose Ortiz, a respectable, but un-Jose Ortiz, like 15%. He's usually higher at Naira. So 15% Irad Ortiz. Synthetics, he's an 18% rider. And who else? We need a second place finisher here. Recent form. The one that I like second best in the early speed. Also moving up in class from 10K. Name Amor Lejano, Argentinian horse. Race 2 back, quick enough to get it done. And even the last race decent after. So it's going second off the layoff today. Trainer 11, Luis Duca, 11% second off the layoff, but the numbers are strong. Like number 2, next best. Do I have a third best here? Somebody else to consider that has something really sneaky about it. Yeah, I do. Number 1, who's alternating fast race, slow race. Number 1 is alternating races. It's a turf entry for Mark Henning. And he gets the rail. And he's actually coming down a little in class, claiming 40 to claiming 35. Gets Johnny V up, John Velasquez. And he's due for a good race today. And they say turf and Tapeta are interchangeable. So I kind of like this one. It's due for a good one. And if this one takes to the Tapeta like it runs on the turf, this one will have a pace to close into. Should save ground on the rail 1. Volkert, my third choice. So let's look at the odds. Only 2 more races to go to cover this. And let's look at the odds here on this one. Okay. Listen to this. The one I like best, Frosted Faith, is 2-1. And the one I like second best, the 2, Amaro Jano, is 10-1. I'm circling this race because this is a standout already. I like what I'm seeing here. The one I like second best with the other speed, 2, is 10-1. And the one I like third best with Johnny B is 6-1. And 4 isn't even the favorite. The favorite is number 7, Super Success, at 9-5. And I didn't even see that as within my top 3. Let's see why. Did I miss something? All right. Recently, it's coming off a 101-day layoff. It does have 2 races at 5.5 at Gulfstream in March and January that are fast enough to take this. Win this. Last 3 races at Gulfstream Park, it finished second, and first. I think it must be respected. Its last race, it didn't run well, and that was 101 days ago, and that was at Prek Isle Downs at 6 furlongs, and it was running on the turf at Saratoga and getting whipped ninth 5 back, 6th 4 back. And so now they give it 101 days off. Can it wheel itself back to the races it ran in January and March? The race in February is not going to be fast enough to do it. I'm telling you that right now. That one had finished second, but it was not a good race, not as good as the one in March and January. And now it's 7-year-old. And it's breaking outside. Let me see the pace of this one. What this one might be good, this race might be good for is this. It's you see its last race on the turf at 6 furlongs, it ran like a 24-second opening quarter, and whereas in it was running 22 in 5, 22.06 at 5.5 back in March, and it hadn't shown any speed in its last start. I'm going to put 7 with a question mark, and you could always do this. You can always do a 4-horse box with these, being that the 1 and the 2 are prices with legitimate chances to win, and I think you could play the try for 50 cents. And I think these 4 get it done. But I think the 1 really to beat is the 4. But the 2 has races that can beat it. And the 1 has more recent races. And the 1 has races that can, alternating good, bad, has a couple that can contend. I'd probably like the 1 a little more underneath than on top. The 2 is the one that makes this a value race. But I'll list 7 with a question mark. Race number 8. So I got to get 2 more done here and some done at Mahoning. And I want to thank everyone that joined us here this morning for this edition of the morning show. Okay, Stephen, I want to thank you for posting some of your picks here. So here's the deal today. This is a morning show. This is going to be a new edition. How often I do it, we'll see. Time will tell. I'll have to think about that. Maybe we'll see. And the plan is to do this show today and go live for Turfway Park again tonight. Turfway Park show, I'll just cover Turfway Park. Unexpected double dip today. Again, unexpected doing another show covering 3 tracks, Aqueduct, Gulfstream, and of course, Mahoning Valley in Chicago. Okay, so I still got some work to do with this in prep for the show because I want to get the show started a little before noon because post time is, I believe they start at 12:10 at Gulfstream Park. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to schedule that show. I hope to see you at the 3-race show, if not the 3-race show that's coming up shortly, the Turfway Park show tonight. What I'm going to do is put it all on the same link. So you're not going to have to change links. I will describe it. I have to make up the thumbnail and schedule the show. So I'm going to head out right now. I want to thank everybody who joined us and watched us and shared on the morning show. We're going to be out here for Gulfstream Aqueduct and Mahoning soon. Hope to see you there. Best of luck today. Let's get it done. Ice water the waves and win big.